Chances at some showers throughout the day. They'll be pretty scattered, and rainfall total is not going to be that impressive. Temperatures mostly in the low 60s. Later on tonight, cloud cover hangs around, possibly another chance at an isolated shower. But we get on the backside of the system by tomorrow, slightly cooler with highs in the mid 50s and a few more chances at some showers. I'm 13 First Alert meteorologist Mike Dandria.
Wake up and smell the aroma of perfection that is Cabin Coffee. Start your day right with their handcrafted, locally roasted coffee beans brewed to perfection just for you. From classic Americanos to lattes and refreshing iced coffees, Cabin Coffee has your caffeine cravings covered. And if you're in need for a bite to eat for breakfast or lunch, they got you covered with a menu full of your favorite breakfast items and delicious sandwiches. So swing on over to River Perry and Altoona and experience the taste of coziness and comfort with Cabin Coffee.
What makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination? Because they offer free battery testing and charging and reliable replacement batteries, and they've always got your battery solution. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's the show that features serious, thought-provoking sports talk and insightful sports commentary.
You knew it!
In other words, it's the show where they all talk a crap load about sports.
Let's go for it!
Now let's introduce your host, a man who lives and breathes and has a passion for sports. A man who breaks everything down in the sports world and gives you everything you need to know. Plus a bunch of stuff you probably don't need, but you'll still enjoy it.
You can't handle the truth!
Here is your host, Dan Kasper.
Prime time!
Online, sportstalk1051.com. Stream it up. Video stream also up and rolling. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Got the app. Take it on the go. Hopefully, if you're up and at it already this morning, good morning. Appreciate you joining us, tagging along with us this morning. Hopefully, you're all off to a good start here. What do we got? What do we got on the good old game plan for us this morning? We're going to talk a little baseball. Got the Phillies with another dominating win, 10-0 over the Diamondbacks last night. Kyle Schwarber, man, that dude, he is, we talk about when it comes to like the Brewers and such, how we want a little bit more power and this, that, and the other thing. And you look at Schwarber and, like this season, for example, the dude hit 197 for a batting average. But you know what? He hit 47 dingers, and he had a couple again last night over there too. OPS of an 817, slugging of a 474 this season. In fact, career-wise, he's a 492 slugging and 831 OPS. But, that's – you look at those numbers, and, yeah, everybody's looking at the batting average and be like, eh. But, man, that pop, when he's rolling, when he's hot, whew, can get it going. And he helped his team last night with a couple of home runs to take a 2-0 lead against the Diamondbacks. So both series we've got teams up 2-0, and tonight Texas will try to go up 3-0. Houston in a pivotal game 3 will try to get back in this thing. They're down 2-0, but right now it sure looks like it's going to be a Texas and Phillies World Series, and buckle up for some offense in that one between these two teams. So we'll hit up a little baseball chats, hoops, Bucks getting close to wrapping up their preseason schedule. Last night falling to the Oklahoma City Thunder, 124-101. We did get to see Giannis and Damian Lillard in the game here for a little bit. A little bit of an off night shooting for Dame. Just 2-11, 0 for 5 from 3, finished with 5 points. But Giannis in 25 minutes of action, 8 of 12 from the field, 18 points, 10 rebounds. But it was Malik Beasley. 6 of 11 from downtown, from three-point land, putting up 20 points for the Bucks. So I feel like right now, Malik Beasley, he's, I think, the front runner. I think he's going to be the fifth starter, that starting two guard for the Bucks here. I feel like he's kind of the leader in the clubhouse right now. And, he's played in all these preseason games. He's been putting up over 20 minutes in these 4 preseason games and, dropped 13, 11, 8, 20 points. But he's over 40% so far in these in this preseason shooting from 3, 54.5% from downtown yesterday. Or last night. He's probably going to be the leader in the clubhouse here for that starting 2-guard spot. But again, like we were kind of talking a little bit about last week, I like this Bucks depth. I really like the depth that they got here. Starters, Dame, we'll throw Malik in there. Chris, Giannis, Brooke, Cameron Payne, Pat, Marjan, Jay, Portis. Throw in a little AJ Green and maybe Robin Lopez in there. And I like this depth. I really do. I think it complements this team. I think it complements each other so well. So, but we'll talk a little hoops as last preseason game coming up on Friday. On Friday before the regular season tips off next Thursday against the 76ers. Remember, it's going to be a little bit of a different schedule this year too, because you got the play-in or the tournaments and in-season tournaments and all that stuff. So it might be kind of hard to follow at times, and it's just we're all going to learn and kind of follow along together with this thing. But nonetheless, I'm pumped. I'm excited for this Buck season to get going. Thinking about it, there's been a lot of optimism, and maybe it's just because it's the beginning of new seasons here. But Badger football, we were pumped for how long? For like the entire offseason leading up to kickoff, new era, Luke Fickell coming in, and I think it's fair to say it's been a little bit of a downer. 4-2, just coming off the loss against Iowa. Even the wins, there wasn't really like dominating type of wins and such. So I think it's probably been a little bit of a downer for some peeps. Brewer season had its ups and downs, and then you get to the postseason, you're excited, you're pumped, and then you hear the news about Brandon Woodruff, and then it's a quick sweep. Packer season, I know it's still young, it's still fresh, but you're heading into it, and you start off against Chicago with that win, and you're excited, pumped, and in the last couple weeks here, and now we got the Bucks getting ready to start. A lot of optimism, a lot of excitement, especially after the Dame trade here. But I feel like if there's one team that can maybe live up to that excitement, live up to that pressure or expectation, it's probably the Bucks here. But remember, too, brand new head coach, first-year head coach. We'll see how it all plays out at the beginning of the season here. So we'll talk a little hoops. Packers, we've got that. Packers return to practice day, a little bit of a normal schedule-ish. They had a practice on Monday, but yesterday, Packers making some moves, bringing in James Robinson to the practice squad, the former Jacksonville Jaguars running back. Feels like James Robinson has been in the league for years for the amount of teams that he's joined up with. But he's only 25, but he exploded on the scene in his rookie year in 2020. Undrafted, rushed for over 1,000 yards, 1,070 to be exact in 14 games, 7 touchdowns. Followed it up with 14 games in 2021 for Jacksonville, 767 yards, 8 touchdowns rushing, but his season was ended short due to an Achilles injury. And then in 2022, came back and played a little bit with Jacksonville, then was traded over to the Jets. But, never ever since that Achilles injury, hasn't really either gotten a fair shake, hasn't gotten, back to the level we saw him just a few years ago. He signed up with the Patriots this offseason, then they released him. Giants picked him up for a hot minute, released him. Patriots released him, according apparently due to injury concerns and such, or health concerns and that. But Packers brought him in. Is it last week? I think it was last week for a workout. And now they signed him. Maybe it would have been better to, I don't know. Might be just, nitpicking here, but last week and get him in a little bit and a little bit of practice and refreshed with the scheme and such. I don't know. But anyways, he comes in, and obviously we know outside we haven't really seen a ton of Aaron Jones this year, but the running game is slacking. Packers potentially looking for a little bit of a boost here in terms of the running attack. I'm not to be a Debbie Downer or anything like this, but I'm not putting a whole lot of expectations on James Robinson. A couple years ago, I might have been a little bit more excited with this thing. Might have been a little bit more excited. But, the fact that he's been jumping around with teams and teams like Patriots and the Giants didn't hold on to him. And I know, you look at some of their other running backs there too. Maybe it was just playing time and such, but I'm not really expecting a whole lot from James Robinson. I hope we're wrong. I'm wrong, and I hope he gets in there. And if he does play in the regular season, if he does get on the active roster, because remember he's on the practice squad at least right now. If he gets there, hopefully he takes advantage of his opportunities and maybe makes some big plays here and there. I'm not really expecting a whole lot. Again, I hope I'm wrong, but we'll see how it all plays out here. But Packers getting ready for the Broncos, a Broncos team with the defense that's allowed the most flipping points in the entire league right now. You can't score on Denver. And I know it's different week in and week out. And I'll be honest, that's what's kind of making me a little bit nervous for this Denver game. I'm like, oh, is Denver due for a win? Is it just going to be one of those games where Denver is just going to be due for a freaking win? And then, oh, man, Monday is just going to be chaotic if Green Bay loses to Denver. It's going to be chaotic. But nonetheless, I hope we don't get to that. I hope we don't. But if Green Bay struggles to move the ball against this Denver defense, the way they're played right now, we got major issues for this season. We got to figure out some stuff. I don't want to get down that path yet because let's see it play out and such. But also on the docket, we're going to talk a little. We got stock reports. So your stock reports are due. Whose stock is rising? Whose stock is falling? Hit us up with that. You can start to send us some text right now if you'd like. 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. So let's get things going here this morning. We'll get the lead off here. We'll probably touch on a few different things in the lead off. We'll talk a little green and gold. We'll talk a little baseball. We'll talk a little hoops. All the above over there. So hit us up with the text 715-830-1912 or Twitter at DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports. So, you know what? I was going to save this towards the end of the week and for a podcast episode, but I kind of want to see where maybe some of you are at. I'm not going to do my team. I want to see where your team's at right now. But with flag football being introduced or will be in the 2028 Summer Olympics, create your ultimate, your all-time. I should say all-time. If you were in charge right now, to put together this Olympic flag football team, who'd be your QB? Who'd be a couple wideouts, tight end, some running backs on there? Who would you put on there? Like Tyreek Hill, and even Rob Gronkowski, both expressed interest in playing on the team. 2028, we're 5 years away here, right? We're 5 years away from this thing. But who would you put on there? Also, return to baseball, softball. So 2028. And it's also in Los Angeles, too. I'm excited to see this flag football thing going here. I'm excited to see that. But who would you put on there right now? Like, not all time. So, like, don't put, Jim Taylor, Bart Starr, like if you were asked to put together a team right now for 2028. So would you put Gronk on there, even though he'd be like, what, almost 10 years removed from playing in the NFL? Would you still put a guy like Gronk on there? Big dude, right? So think about that for a little bit. Hit me up with your team. Let's go with, you could go kind of positionless on this thing, like typical, flag football, because I'm not sure how they're going to construct this yet. I don't know what, like rosters and that's going to look like. But, give me like a quarterback, a couple wideouts, a couple running backs, maybe throw in a tight end, like an athlete position, throw in some corners if you want. Let's do like a typical 7-on-7. So positionless. Let's just call it positionless. If you want to throw a corner in there who could play a little wideouts, coverage, all that sort of stuff, get creative with this thing, okay? Let's get creative with this thing. We'll do a little 7-on-7. So, all right, enough of that. Let's get things going here this morning. Get the lead off. Kick things off here this morning. Join us. Good morning. Appreciate you tuning in. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Got a take on today's topic but can't call in? Then hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or the text line and let your fingers do the talking.
Are you ready to transform your home and give it a fresh new look? Look no further than Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire, your ultimate destination for all your flooring needs. Step into their store and discover a world of possibilities. From soft and luxurious carpets to sleek luxury vinyl planks and easy-to-maintain laminate, they have everything you need to turn your house into a home that you will love. And at Carpet City Flooring Center, they believe that quality shouldn't break the bank. That's why they offer a wide range of flooring options to suit every budget without compromising on style or durability. Plus, they match or beat the competition if you find a better deal elsewhere. Their friendly and knowledgeable staff is there to guide you every step of the way. From helping you select the perfect flooring to professional installation, they make the process easy and stress-free. So why wait? Visit Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire today and discover the endless possibilities for your home. You can find them at 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire and visit their website at carpetcitywi.com.
Join us and other Brewers fans for a fantastic spring training trip of a lifetime in beautiful Arizona. 6 nights, 3 Brewers games, 2 days of sightseeing, and much, much more. Plan your vacation now. Stay at the Crown Plaza Phoenix Chandler Golf Resort with Uber vouchers for rides between Phoenix airports and the resort. There's a welcome reception, daily breakfasts at the resort, 3 Brewers spring training games, professional guide with motor coach transportation to Sedona and Tucson, hosted by Arizona Baseball Tour staff. There's a souvenir t-shirt and 1 complimentary bucket of range balls per person at the resort golf course driving range. It will be an exciting, fun-filled excursion with memories for a lifetime for everyone. The Brewers spring training trip to beautiful Arizona. Don't miss it. For more information, get to this station's website and begin your vacation today.
Today's job market is full of demand for skilled trade workers. Electricians, welders, mechanics, these and other trades are the backbone of every community. They're also a huge part in making sure the Army National Guard is always fulfilling its mission of service to our country and communities. Soldiers train to keep the power flowing, engines running, and supplies moving. The skilled trades these soldiers perform are the same ones needed in today's civilian workforce. Army National Guard soldiers are on the fast track to learning skills that can set them up for success at home with companies looking to hire the best. With options from plumber to helicopter mechanic and everything in between, soldiers are able to select the trades that best fit their lives. Their resumes are being built through their paid training and part-time service. Find out how you too can learn a trade profession and serve your community and country by visiting NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
A lot of folks around here are breathing easier because of Grace Home Respiratory. They appreciate that Grace Home Respiratory is a local company that puts customer service first. They appreciate that Grace Home Respiratory provides an array of medical equipment, services, and supplies to help their recovery and enhance their quality of life. They appreciate that Grace Home Respiratory has the experience and qualifications that exceed their expectations. So when you need home medical equipment and services, turn to Grace Home Respiratory not only for the equipment you need, but for their dedicated staff of respiratory therapists who are on call 24 hours a day. To find out more, call Grace Home Respiratory at 715-832-7377 or online at ghr-ec.com.
Grace Home Respiratory always has your health and safety as their top priority. Your expert when it comes to medical equipment and supplies. Choose Grace Home Respiratory.
Hey there, athletes and active folks of the Chippewa Valley. When it comes to your health and performance, there's only one name you need to know: Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. They specialize in getting you back in the game. Their expert team of orthopedic specialists and sports medicine doctors will treat your injuries and provide personalized care. Your comeback story begins at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Just visit cvosm.com. That's cvosm.com to learn more and to schedule your appointment.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best: sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
Stand by as we continue our dig for the truth and the toy at the bottom of the cereal box.
Oh, got it.
The Dan Kasper Show.
This Friday, we're going to be hanging out at Hy-Vee from 12 to 2. We're going to do first edition of the Mobile Man Cave, doing the Man Cave podcast over there in honor of the release of Man Cave lights for sale in 4-packs. They're going to be on sale starting on Friday at Hy-Vee over there. 4-packs of Man Cave lights. So we're going to hang out for your lunch period over there from 12 to 2 if you want to stop by and grab your 4-packs or just say a quick hi or such. Going to do a little quick podcast. G-Man, you going to be there? You going to stop by and say hi there? Big man? Anybody else? Hopefully we'll see a bunch of you, but put it on your schedule this Friday. We'll be over there. And don't forget to pick up your 4-packs of Man Cave Light in perfect time for we still got plenty of football going on, and we've got hunting season, all that good stuff. Bucks are definitely moving. Got some scrapes popping up at the land. My trail cam pics, getting some more photos with deer with antlers on there. So that's always a positive thing, right? But yeah, I just checked up and hey, how about that? A few more on there with some antlers. All right, keep it coming, guys. So don't forget too with those deer. Hit us up with some texts or send us those photos, 715-830-1912, so we can put them up on the Tilden Gun Trophy Gallery, too. All right. Yeah, they are definitely moving. Holy moly, I had a bunch in there. 5:30 this morning. What am I doing here? It's still dark though. All right, let's get things going here this morning. Quite a few of you already texting in with your fantasy football, or not fantasy football, your flag football teams over there. Get a little creative too, because I'll tell you one person, that's kind of the key word here. One person, and I'm thinking about adding on mine, isn't in the NFL. Not in the NFL, but got some good ones coming in here, so we'll get to those coming up a little bit later on. But somebody had texted in, do you think James Robinson will have a big impact for the Packers? I kind of mentioned it at the top there. I don't. I really don't. And maybe it's just because I'm setting the bar a little bit low. But, I mean, there's, he comes in 2020, his rookie year, has a fantastic start. Sets a record for undrafted rookies with rushing. Goes over 1,000 yards for Jacksonville. The Achilles injury, I think, definitely affected his career. In his second year, kind of derailed it there. Had 8 rushing touchdowns, was over 700 yards rushing in 14 games. And after that, just either he couldn't get it going, was put in some tough situations, maybe didn't get all the chances in the world there, but, kind of hopping back and forth between some teams, Giants, Patriots, Jets, that sort of thing. So I'm not really putting a whole lot of stock in James Robinson. I hope I'm wrong. If he does get an opportunity, if he does, get on the field and get some extended playing time, I hope he goes out there and dominates and has some success. But right now, I'm not putting a whole lot of stock into that. Again, not trying to be down, but at this point, if Aaron Jones is 100%, I want Aaron Jones to get the ball. I want him to get the ball the majority of the time here. Now, does this signing mean anything in terms of maybe Aaron Jones' health or how they view A.J. Dillon? I guess that remains to be seen. Robinson's on the practice squad, signed to the practice squad. Like Julio Jones yesterday, the Eagles signing Julio Jones. But with that whole practice squad thing, remember, it's, you got veterans who can sign up on there. And I would imagine probably going to see Julio Jones suit up for the Eagles soon, whether it's this week or in the coming weeks here. And, we'll see if James Robinson is activated to the active roster right away and he gets some snaps right away. I might say more about A.J. Dillon and such and what the Packers view from a production standpoint with A.J. Dillon. But if Aaron Jones is 100%, you gotta feed that guy and let him kickstart this offense and get this thing rolling. Kickstart it. When we look at going back, not to get off on a tangent here or anything, but when we look back at some preseason predictions and expectations and that sort of stuff, one player that I think we haven't seen a ton of that a lot of us thought, okay, this year might be a year where he kind of has that year where he kind of like shows up and maybe gets some more opportunities. And one guy who's been pretty quiet, and maybe it's just because of opportunities, has been Josiah DeGuara. So far this year, 7 catches for 58 yards. That's it. 7 catches for 58 yards. There was a lot. Maybe not a lot, but there was quite a few. I was one of them, too, that thought, okay, are we going to see him involved a little bit more? Because we see how fullbacks or H-backs are involved in these offenses like the 49ers and the Dolphins, similar systems to what LaFleur grew up in, learned from. We see how these H-backs are, kind of involved in. And Packers, used a 3rd-round pick on him in 2020. And he's not a typical tight end. They haven't really utilized him as a typical tight end. He's still listed as a tight end. But, Obviously, you look at this past draft, Musgrave and Kraft. It's like, okay, those are more typical tight ends. What they want, bigger, faster tight ends. I haven't really seen a ton of DeGuara, and that's honestly for me, when you look back at some of the preseason predictions and bold predictions and thoughts that we kind of had heading into the season. Hey, we're going to see this. I'm excited to see this. One player I think that we kind of maybe had some high expectations for or expected a little bit more from has been DeGuara. Now, is that him? Is that the offensive scheme? Has it been opportunities? You kind of thought, okay, young quarterback, Jordan Love, DeGuara might benefit from that because, well, might be a nice little safety valve, guy who lines up in the backfield, run a little wheel route or a little out there on the flats, a little dink and dunk. We haven't really seen him a whole lot. Is that something that we need to get more, do we need to simplify the offense a little bit more? Or is it too simple right now to where it's like, can't even get even more simplified than that, and we need more explosive stuff? I was thinking about that the other day, kind of looking back and reminiscing on some of the preseason players that we kind of thought would take some jumps this year. And DeGuara was one on offense, I think, that a lot of us thought, okay, this might be, the year where we're going to get, that it all revolved around the notion, the idea that we're going to have a more balanced or a more typical LaFleur offense. We're going to see Matt LaFleur's offense. I don't know if we have yet. Have we? And if we have, I don't want it. To be honest with you, if we this is what he's wanting to do, and if this is what LaFleur's offense is, right now I don't want it. No. I hope this isn't what we've seen. It's nothing. Hasn't been nothing to brag home about right now at this point. Right? No, I don't like it. So we'll see what the practice report looks like later on today as they return to practice to get back to kind of a normal, typical game week to prepare for Denver coming up here. I think a big one's going to be whether Quay Walker is going to be able to go, because if you don't have, I'm assuming that we're not going to see Devondre Campbell, which again, Devondre Campbell, ever since that 1 year, his first year there, and getting an All-Pro year. I mean, he was fantastic season. Packers bring him back, and we come down to the availability thing. Can you be available? Can you be on the field? And right now, Devondre Campbell hasn't been able to consistently stay on the field because of injuries. Hasn't been able to go out there. And I hope, I think Quay Walker is probably a little bit more closer to potentially returning. So I think that's going to be a big thing, the next couple of days. Obviously, we want to see Aaron Jones continue to go out there and not have any, fallbacks or setbacks or anything like that. You don't want to see that. But in terms of guys who have not practiced, who did not practice on Monday, I look at that inside linebacker group, especially with maybe Russell Wilson out there. Russell Wilson out there, hopefully. You'll have a guy like Quay Walker, over there. Not saying, Russell Wilson's as speedy as a Justin Fields or anything like that, but we know Russell's a little mobile, right? We know he's a little bit mobile. Can extend some plays, move around the pocket. You want a guy like Quay Walker who's out there. All right. We got, what is this? C-Bomb's coming, listening from Poland. Excited the Packers are making a move to try and improve the roster. I only worry this is a bad sign for 33. I think it says more about A.J. Dillon than Aaron Jones. I think it says more about that. I think it says more about the lack of production behind Aaron Jones because, I mean, you look at James Robinson. James Robinson is more of a Aaron Jones style running back. And right now, to me, this style of offense, I don't think I don't think A.J. Dillon can be a feature back in this style of offense, in this scheme of offense. They need more of that speed thing. A.J. Dillon's a nice, if you want to play a little power run game. But it's not the bread and butter of this offense. It's not a Tennessee offense where they can play, where their bread and butter is that power running game. They need more of the elusive, quicker scat backs sort of thing. I don't think A.J. Dillon can be a feature back in this style of offense. It just, to me, it doesn't suit him. And I think they tried to go a little power running game, changing things up against the Raiders. I mean, we saw them force feeding it. They tried to play a little bit of that, but did it have a trickle-down effect where it lacked in some areas? Did they get away from some of the other stuff within their offense, and is that what kind of derailed them a little bit? I don't know. Probably grasping at straws there a little bit. All right, let's take a quick break here. Keep your picks coming, though. Got some good flag football picks here. I might have to steal some of these for mine. We'll get to some of them coming up in just a little bit. We'll be back after these quick words.
The Dan Kasper Show will be right back.
Life can be a real pain, but you know what? It doesn't have to be. That is if you visit Shepke Chiropractic. At Shepke Chiropractic, they're dedicated to helping you achieve a pain-free, healthy life. Dr. Logan understands that each person is unique and will tailor their care to meet your specific needs. Shepke Chiropractic's goal is to work with each patient to achieve their goals and perform to their fullest potential in the capacity that their life requires. They offer in-depth assessment and a thorough caring approach to correcting your body, mind, and soul. So let me ask you two simple questions. Are you tired of living with pain and discomfort? Are you ready to take control of your health and well-being? Don't let pain hold you back any longer. Make your appointment with Shepke Chiropractic at one of their 2 locations today. Just visit ShepkeChiropractic.com to learn more and to book your appointment. Your journey to a healthier and more fulfilling life starts here at Shepke Chiropractic. Make your appointment today at
Drink? Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up spills quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading ordinary brand. So you can get back to your night. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Get ready to save half with half-off deals. It's a great way for you to get goods and services that you will love, and you don't have to pay full price. Start saving this Friday, October 20th, with Carl's Barbecue Express and Jim Bob's Pizza. Be ready with your credit or debit card and get ready to save with this week's half-off deals. For more details and to find out about all the savings, just go to AroundThe715.com.
Winters can get long in Wisconsin. I'll bet by next March you'll be ready to take a break. Well, if you are, come on along. We're going to take a farm tour to Costa Rica and Panama, March 23rd through April 1st. We'll explore tropical treasures of unique wildlife in these 2 Central American countries. We'll explore Costa Rica first into the agricultural portion of our tour with a visit to the Doca Coffee Estate. And here we'll discover the importance of the coffee bean to Costa Rica's economy. We'll also make stops at the Volcano Negro Wildlife Refuge and Arnall Volcano National Park. And we'll go visit the Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans as we sail through the Panama Canal. We'll take in the sights of Panama City, meet local agricultural experts in Panama as well as we find out about all that country's agriculture. Visit holidayvacations.com. The keyword is wax for more information and to watch a travel show, or call 888-557-1020 for a free brochure.
Hey everyone, Dan Kasper here from Sports Talk 105.1 and Midwest Family Eau Claire. I wanted to let you know about our final free marketing seminar opportunity of the year and share some information with you. But it's only for serious local businesses and organizations that want to grow in 2024. So I'm inviting you to join us for our Really Smart Marketing half-day workshop on Wednesday, November 1st from 8:30 until noon at the Metropolis Resort and Conference Center in Eau Claire. You can register for your seat right now at MidwestFamilyEauClaire.com. At this workshop, you'll learn why your business or organization isn't growing as fast as it should, how to turn strangers into your best superhero promoters and fans, and how to achieve a return on your marketing investment in today's world of digital and traditional advertising. Space is limited for this free November 1st half-day workshop, so register now at MidwestFamilyEauClaire.com.
Today's job market is full of demand for skilled trade workers. Electricians, welders, mechanics, these and other trades are the backbone of every community. They're also a huge part in making sure the Army National Guard is always fulfilling its mission of service to our country and communities. Soldiers train to keep the power flowing, engines running, and supplies moving. The skilled trades these soldiers perform are the same ones needed in today's civilian workforce. Army National Guard soldiers are on the fast track to learning skills that can set them up for success at home with companies looking to hire the best. With options from plumber to helicopter mechanic and everything in between, soldiers are able to select the trades that best fit their lives. Their resumes are being built through their paid training and part-time service. Find out how you too can learn a trade profession and serve your community and country by visiting NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Want the latest insight and analysis on your favorite green and gold football team? Check out the Green and Gold Chalk Talk video series hosted by Dan Kasper with new episodes each week on YouTube.
Don't forget to check out new episodes of the Man Cave podcast, available on your favorite podcasting platforms or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also available at sportstalk1051.com. New episodes daily up there. And don't forget to send us your keywords when you listen to an episode. More points you rack up, better chances you're going to get at some prizes, some swag, and all that good stuff on over there. So get it on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcast. So big thanks to a lot of the new listeners that are coming through there. Let's keep it going, baby. Let's keep it going. So, all right, I got a question from Greg here on the taxi line. Greg says, "Do you think, with the performance that we have seen from A.J. Dillon, is the reason why that we heard those Jonathan Taylor rumors?" You know, at the time when that Jonathan Taylor rumor came down, it was before the season, right before the season. It's like, this doesn't make any sense. Why? You know, why? This doesn't make sense. You got Aaron Jones, you got A.J. Dillon. I mean, yeah, you got Aaron Jones probably maybe on his last year. A.J. Dillon's a free agent. Because you bring in a guy like Jonathan Taylor, you're going to have to give him a big contract. And I know we had Rob on, and, Rob was kind of like, I don't know. But I think, Greg, you might be right. I think there's might be something to it. Did Green Bay look at this and be like, okay, Jonathan Taylor's a better fit. That style of running back is a better fit for what we want to do on offense,
for how we want to scheme things up, how we want to move the ball. You might be right, Greg. I think now it's at least a little bit more, possibly a little bit more clearer. If that was true, which I mean, I think if there's smoke, there's got to be a little bit of fire, at least a little bit of fire, a little spark. But hey, maybe looked at that and be like, you know what? If Taylor is truly available, he's a much better fit for what we want to do at offense. Because who's another team that was heavily rumored for Taylor? It's Miami. It was Miami coming into, got Mike McDaniel, another Shanahan disciple. So yeah, Greg, I think you might be onto something there a little bit. So we'll get back to maybe some football talk coming up a little bit later on. I want to get to some hoops talk. Got baseball on the docket too. MLB postseason continuing to roll on. Phillies fire last night, 10 runs for Philadelphia against the Diamondbacks. They're up 2-0. Texas looking to go 3-0 tonight with a win over Houston. Houston, pivotal game 3, trying to get back into this series. I was watching the game last night, and Kyle Schwarber's hitting his dingers. And you look at his stat lines, I'm like, what? I knew he had a bunch of home runs in the regular season. I'm like, I got to look it up. It was 47 home runs, but his batting average was 197. You pretty much know what you're getting with Schwarber. I mean, he's a unique player where, you put him in that leadoff spot, and he's going to get you like a home run, and he set career highs too this year in strikeouts, 215. So the last 2 years that he's been with Philly, he's had at least 200 strikeouts or more. Last year was 200. This year, 215. You kind of know what you're getting with Schwarber there. Where then I'm like, would you rather have like a Schwarber or a Tony Gwynn? I know that might be kind of an extreme comparison there, but it's like, Tony Gwynn, obviously he had a ton of home runs, right? He's not going to give you the pop, but you're going to get on base with a Tony Gwynn, and you're not really going to strike out a ton. I mean, the most home runs Tony Gwynn ever hit in his career was in 1997 when he had 17. 17. But you know what? The most strikeouts Tony Gwynn has ever had in his career? 40. 40 in 1988. 40 strikeouts. Kyle Schwarber this year had 215 strikeouts. 215 strikeouts. That's it. Or I should say that's the difference. That's a huge difference. And I'm like, man, what, today's style of baseball is so, because for the Brewers, we want some more pop. We want some more power within that lineup. Got to manufacture some runs over there. But I think we would all take a guy like a Tony Gwynn though too, who's going to like consistently get on base. He's got to make sure you get him across home plate, though, right? You got to make sure that your table setters get across home plate. But I was thinking about just the difference between these two guys and just completely different styles. Home runs and strikeouts versus no home runs and no strikeouts, but getting on base. All over the board. Man, I still think Tony Gwynn kind of gets a little underappreciated for what he, the type of player. Wasn't the flashiest on offense. Wasn't the flashiest. And we know that's what draws a lot of fans, right? Chicks dig the long ball. But once in a while, when we get these crazy stats that pop up about Tony Gwynn, it's just like, dang. Guy was that good. But it wasn't flashy. Didn't hit a whole lot of home runs. In fact, only 1 year did Tony Gwynn have over 100 RBIs. Again, 1997. That same year where he had 17 home runs. He had 119 RBIs that year. The next highest total for RBIs, you got to go 90 in 1995. Was a table setter. It's like, I'd put him at the top of my lineup every single day. I just got to make sure I've got a bat behind him that would get him across, because you know you're going to get him on base. And the thing is, too, like I'm just kind of looking at some of the walks. So, like this year, so Kyle Schwarber, okay, such a interesting player to look at some of these numbers for him. 215 strikeouts, 47 home runs, 197 average, 126 walks, though, too. 126 walks. Tony Gwynn never took more than 100 walks. Tony Gwynn, the most walks he had in a season, 1987 and 82. 82. That year, he also hit 370. 370. 218 hits, the most, or second most in his career. He had 220 in that 97 season. It's just to me, like, I don't know if anybody else does this, but like, I'll just look at numbers or stats from different players and kind of compare them, and then you look at two completely different styles of players between like a Kyle Schwarber and a Tony Gwynn, and it's like, oof, wow. You know, Schwarber a leadoff guy, Tony Gwynn's a table setter, and it's completely different. That's all, yeah, nuts. But it sure looks like it's going to be a Phillies and Rangers World Series, which, if you like a little offense, you might like this World Series coming up here. I think it'll be, I'm calling it right now, I think it is going to be Texas and Philly going at it for the World Series. I think it should be an entertaining one. I hope it lives up to some of the offense that we've seen so far in the postseason. I mean, Texas and Philly right now, the hottest teams in the postseason, for cry eye. I mean, they've been taking care of business in their series. They'll meet up, and I hope they continue to play at the high level that they've been, because if they do, I think it's going to be an entertaining World Series. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and I can't wait for it. So, but if Bruce Bochy leads Texas to another World Series, you know, he won a couple with the Giants. He goes and leads another World Series, or gets another World Series title with the Rangers. You got to look at his resume and what he's been able to accomplish in his career as a manager, too. All right, so I want to talk some hoops. Coming up next hour, Bucks going to be wrapping up their preseason schedule. Just one more preseason game. That's going to be on Friday before they tip off the regular season next week against the Philadelphia 76ers. We got to see Dame and Giannis for another game. I don't know if we'll see them on Friday for a final tune-up, or if we're going to kind of rest them there. We haven't seen Chris Middleton yet, although it still sounds like he's going to be going for the regular season, that they're confident he's going to go for the regular season here. Kind of wonder, is he going to get any action on Friday just to maybe knock a little bit of that rust off here? It's kind of been an interesting situation, though, with Chris Middleton and following, you know, his progression, and they're being very cautious with him with that knee injury. So again, I think that's probably another reason, maybe too, why the Bucks possibly went after a guy like Dame to get that second option, a consistent second option, that running mate with Giannis, because Middleton might not be able to do that anymore. He's not a number two anymore. So, all right, we got just a couple minutes left at the top. Good morning, Morgs.
So are you excited to watch a World Series, even if you're calling who the teams are and it's an offensive game? And even in football season, do you get excited to go back and dip in, even if you don't have a horse in the race in terms of teams?
I love baseball, MLB postseason in October and November.
Yeah.
The environment's different. You can sense the excitement of the crowd. It's a different environment, and I really enjoy it.
And to you, that doesn't seem long. You haven't tapped out of baseball by then? You're into it regardless?
I think it goes in waves.
Okay.
You kind of get into the long days of summer, July, which is kind of dull.
Yeah.
But then postseason in any sport, it's different.
It's kind of like running a marathon.
You
hit the wall at 15, 16 miles, but then you pick it up again at 22, 23 and get to the finish line.
Yep.
So who would you cheer for? Who would you pick out of the winner for
I'll
this
go
series?
Texas.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You have any like legit Texas fans in your life?
No.
Okay.
No.
So just watching for funsies.
Yep.
Wednesday wildcard time, will we get to put Kasper into the deck of random questions and make him answer on the spot? And this one today, hey, something that you are good at but could never put on a resume. Big skills.
Good at, but you cannot put on a resume.
Mm-hmm. Like, for instance,
Procrastination.
I'm an abnormally good bubble blower, like with bubble gum. I know that.
Okay.
I've won a few coloring contests in my day. Those two things right there got some claim to fame, but I've never put them on a resume.
All right.
You procrastination.
I just remember when you get out of or when you're in high school or right out of college, and then you got to put like your hobbies. It kind of looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now that you're older and like, dude.
Well, you just try to fill space out of high
Right.
school.
Yeah,
You're like, yeah,
exactly.
I have a pet guinea pig. I take really good care of it.
Yep.
So did you guys do, like, speaking of bubbles and bubble gum, the Big League Chew? I was taking Siggy to a sports store over the weekend. She was gearing up. Basketball's coming up next, so we're looking for some new clothes and stuff. And she's getting rid of the seeds because softball season is over. But there was still Big League Chew lined up in the aisle. Did you remember that? I love that gum.
Oh, yeah.
Now there
Grape
is a
the
bubble gum.
best.
Grape is the best. I will say Big League Grape has a taste all of its own. You
The
want
only
a good
thing is
bubble
it doesn't
gum.
last long.
Did you drink or do like the Quench or Gatorade gum back in the day?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so that was another one
Yep.
because that was up there too. And I thought, and that is very specific taste, and it's not like it's particularly
I
good.
miss All Sport, the drink.
You liked All Sport?
I like the little carbonation with it.
Okay, if you're going to go all sport, this is probably not in the game day cooler, but do you remember in the pink can Tab?
Yeah.
There is a movement right now to bring Tab back.
They got All Sport in like the powder packets. So you can
Okay.
make it, or Jello.
Now,
that.
is Hutsy into that? Does he like the Gatorade and the
Yeah.
Powerade and the All Sport and all that? What's
Yep.
his favorite? Because I was working Booster Club concessions for one of Siggy's games, and these kids are like deeply divided on Gatorade colors.
Lemon lime or blue.
Blue, bingo,
Yeah,
right there. Blue's
those
the
two.
one that gets all the love.
Yeah.
Red in a pinch, but lemon lime is not even on the list.
No, he just picked up some lemon lime, so
Woo, he can have it all to himself.
exactly.
Yeah.
WAYY Eau Claire, W286CK Eau Claire, Sports Talk 105.1 and 790 AM. From the 715 Newsroom, it's Morgan McCarthy with your news on Sports Talk 105.1.
Good morning. Here's what we're learning today. We'll start close to our area and in the courts with a judge saying there is enough evidence to take the fourth suspect in last September's killing in Eau Claire to trial. A judge yesterday refused Jamon Sullivan's request to dismiss the charges against him, as Eau Claire police say Sullivan is allegedly one of 4 people who killed Christopher Connor last September at the intersection of Bergen and Bellevue. Investigators say the 4 reportedly got into a fight with Connor after a night of bar hopping. The 3 other suspects in the case are in Eau Claire County Jail awaiting trial. To the lawmaker level, and that has some action swinging for the fences. A $545 million proposal to pay for repairs and renovations at American Family Field cleared the state assembly Tuesday. Assembly Minority Leader Greta Neubauer saying Democrats are split, but not because they don't want the Brewers to stay here in Scotty.
This is a big investment, and there are many other critically important priorities that should receive more attention from this body and necessitate urgent action on behalf of the people of Wisconsin.
But Speaker Robin Vos said this was a good deal for everyone involved.
If the Brewers leave, dollars follow. The dollars that follow means we have less money to invest in all the critical things people think are important. That's a fact.
The bill would raise income taxes on players and staff that take the field at AmFam, including the Brewers. It would also require extra buy-in funding from Milwaukee City and County. The bill now heads to the state Senate. Governor Tony Evers said Tuesday that a deal needs to be made. As we look into some other headlines, Wisconsin's governor is going to have to try again to get people on the DNR board, as the Wisconsin Senate rejected 4 of the governor's appointees yesterday. Senate Majority Leader Devin Lemieux said the 4 weren't qualified and refused to follow the law. Governor Evers nominated 4 new people now yesterday to try to to take over the board. And sometimes, things get kicked to the bottom of the list, like returning that library book for a week or two or 90 years.
Westchester's Larchmont Public Library received an overdue book in the mail from Virginia, and when they looked at its due date, it had been checked out this month, only it was October of 1933. Library officials say given the normal overdue fee structure, Joseph Conrad's Youth and Two Other Stories should have set a borrower back more than $6,000. However, due to a library policy, there's only a $5 charge because after a certain period of time, the book is considered lost. So they simply thanked the sender and waived the fee. Liz Warner, NBC News Radio, New York.
We started implementing that around here. Every time I come into the studio, Casper's got to pony up, but
only a $5 charge.
And our friendship is priceless. For Sports Talk 105.1, I'm Morgan McCarthy.
Clouds have moved in through the overnight and will give way to a few chances at some showers throughout the day. They'll be pretty scattered, and rainfall total is not going to be that impressive. Temperatures mostly in the low 60s. Later on tonight, cloud cover hangs around, possibly another chance at an isolated shower. But we get on the backside of the system by tomorrow. Slightly cooler with highs in the mid-50s and a few more chances at some showers. I'm 13 First Alert meteorologist Mike D'Andrea.
The crops are coming off around the country, led by the soybeans. Let's take a look at some farm news this morning on Sports Talk 105.1 and AM 790. This week's crop progress report shows 62% of the beans are now off. That's a jump of 19% from a week ago, 10% ahead of the 5-year average. Minnesota farmers have combined 76% of their beans, followed by Iowa at 74%, Illinois 61%, Nebraska 70% harvested. Condition of the beans even improved a little over the past week. The beans are now 52% good to excellent. The corn harvest jumped 11% in the past week as 45% of the corn is now in the bin. That's up slightly from both last year and the 5-year average. Iowa is the furthest along with their corn harvest, 72% off. Illinois is at 52%. The corn is rated 53% good to excellent this week, and that's the lowest such rating for this time of the year since back in 2012. Here in Wisconsin, 14% of our corn for grain has been harvested, a little bit ahead of last year, but behind our 5-year average. Moisture content of the corn this past week was 23%. The crop is now rated 50% in good to excellent condition. The corn silage harvest also, for the most part, done. They say 93% of that job is finished. State farmers have also harvested 54% of their soybeans, about 4 days ahead of average. Soybeans this week are rated 48% good to excellent. Potato farmers have dug 90% of their fall potato crop, while others have taken 97% of their fourth hay crop, and still others have planted 74% of their winter wheat. And we're a little behind with fall tillage. Only 21% of that job is finished. Topsoil moisture, though, is getting a little better with our recent rains. This week, it's reported 70% adequate to surplus, 22% short, 8% very short. The driest parts of the state are now in central and south central areas of Wisconsin. Let's look at some of our food and farm news this morning on Sports Talk 105.1 and AM 790. I'm Bob Bosold.
Get ready to save half with half-off deals. It's a great way for you to get goods and services that you will love, and you don't have to pay full price. Start saving this Friday, October 20th, with Carl's Barbecue Express and Jim Bob's Pizza. Be ready with your credit or debit card and get ready to save with this week's half-off deals. For more details and to find out about all the savings, just go to aroundthe715.com.
What makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination? Because they offer free battery testing and charging and reliable replacement batteries, and they've always got your battery solution. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Get up. Hey, are you ready to take? Get up. He's on his way. He's our man. The man, the myth, the legend. That's Dan. And now, The Dan Kasper Show.
Second hour on this Making the Turn Wednesday. Appreciate you tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from. We got stock reports that'll be due coming up next hour. So get those on in. Whose stock is up and whose stock is down in your opinion. Let's kick off this hour, though, with some sports nuggets of the day brought to you by Yancey Associates. 1873, the first rules for intercollegiate football were drawn up by representatives from Rutgers, Yale, Columbia, and Princeton universities. 1924, Red Grange, when he was with Illinois, scored 4 touchdowns in the first 12 minutes of a game against Michigan. He scored a 5th touchdown, intercepted a pass, and threw a touchdown pass in the second half. 1950, Connie Mack announced that he was going to retire after 50 seasons as the manager of the Philadelphia Athletics. How about this? 1956, NFL Commissioner Burt Bell disallowed the use of radio-equipped helmets by NFL quarterbacks. Oh boy, could he see the days now. Let's go with 1967. The American League granted permission for the A's to move to Oakland. Also, new franchises were awarded to Kansas City and Seattle. Let's go. Reggie Jackson, 1977, tied Babe Ruth's record for hitting 3 home runs in a single World Series game. Jackson was only the second player at the time to achieve this. Those are just some of your sports nuggets of the day. Again, brought to you by Yancey Associates. Thank you to those of you who have been sending in your flag football teams for the Olympics. Gonna do my team on a episode of the podcast coming up on Friday, but you're giving me some ideas who to put on there. Who to put on there. It can be players who are still playing now or maybe recently retired, like a Gronk who said he would be up for that. So, but get a little creative too. You can get a little creative with this thing. I'll tell you one player that I'm putting on there that's not currently in the NFL. I've got one player that I'm kind of thinking I might put on there who is currently not with the NFL, playing in the NFL. So I'll get those coming, and I'm probably going to steal a few of those over there too. Reminder, that's not until 2028 if that helps your pick. Somebody had asked on Facebook too if should pick a coach. Go for it. Why not? Pick a coach if you want to go up there. I don't know if Bill's going to be available or anything like that, or you got some other coach that you want to throw out there. Go for it. Why not? This is your thing. So send those puppies on over. NBA preseason continuing. Bucks last night, second to last preseason game, with just one more on Friday before their regular season tips off next Thursday against the 76ers. Bucks falling 124 to 101 in case, records matter for you in preseason hoops. Bucks are 2-2. We did see Giannis playing last night, 25 minutes of action, put up a double-double, 18 points, 10 rebounds. Dame also played 25 minutes, just 5 points, 2-11 shooting, but it was the Malik Beasley show last night, making the case that he should be the other starter, the 5th starter in this lineup. 20 points, 6 of 11 from downtown from 3-point range. Others, A.J. Green coming off the bench, putting up 13. The rookie, Andre Jackson Jr., also coming off the bench, playing 20 minutes and contributing 12 points. He also was 2 of 8 from 3. A.J. Green was an impressive 4 of 5 from downtown last night. So, again, Bucks will wrap up their preseason coming up on Friday against the Grizzlies. We'll see if Chris Middleton makes his debut, gets a little action there, or if they're going to wait till the regular season. Bucks have been kind of tight-lipped about that, but they have been saying that they expect him to begin this season. So hopefully we'll see Chris Middleton at some point soon here. Let's bring in Luke. Have you been following your T-Wolves at all in the preseason?
Not really, because for one, it's overseas teams they're playing, so there's no good connection, and it's the preseason. Wake me up when the regular season begins, and then it's going to be really exciting. This is going to be a fun season. Wolves, Bucks.
this is going to be a good one. There is a better outside chance this year that both could meet in the NBA Finals. I'm not going to predict that, no, but it's on the radar for the season. So yeah, I'm starting to do all the previews and such, listening to the over-unders and everything. I am excited about what Anthony Edwards could do this year. I'm kind of getting this feeling like this is not the same as Giannis circa 2017, 2018. It's not exactly the same. He's a different type of player, unicorn, etc. But I'm starting to get this feeling of, do we all recognize what potentially is happening in front of our eyes in real time, which is a very tough thing to judge. You usually have to wait for a whole lot and then look back and go, wow, what happened? He could be second team All-NBA, which would be top 6 to 10 in the league by the end of this season. Does that enough to get the Wolves into like the conference finals? Best case scenario, something fluky happens, they actually make it to the NBA. I don't know, but I think what happened this summer, World Cup, it's going to be it provided enough of a boost, enough experience, enough seasoning, enough leadership that he is going to have his like full-on breakout season this year, potentially, and I'm very much looking forward to that. This is probably the most optimistic I've felt about the Timberwolves in a very long time, given that Gobert trade still doesn't look great, but Edwards might be enough to overcome that. We'll see.
All right, there you have it. Baseball playoffs tonight, Game 3. We'll pitch off, tip off, whatever you want to call it, between Houston and Texas. Pivotal Game 3. Houston needs that win to get back in this series. Texas can really put a stranglehold on this series with a win and go up 3-0 right now. It's been all Texas and Philadelphia so far in this postseason run here, with Philadelphia another win last night, 10-0 over the Diamondbacks. We'll see if the Texas Rangers can continue their run here with another win tonight to go up 3-0. So if it is Philly and in Texas in the World Series, I think that'll be a fun matchup. I think you're going to see a lot of offense in that one. But if Bruce Bochy leads another team to a World Series title, he's getting on a short list then of all time, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know, in terms of I don't want to say greatest of all time, but I mean you got to put his name in there if he's going to add another World Series to his resume, and this time with a completely different team in his first year too. So
yeah, 3 teams overall. He's had success with he's. I mean, if we're doing our managerial rankings, and now Terry Francona's off the list with his retirement, I mean, Bochy's top 5 for sure. It's still, I mean, does Craig Counsell now move to number 1 with Francona? In at least my list, I think Counsell does go to number 1 and
over Bochy.
Given what Counsell's doing with his resources, I think. Can you imagine Craig Counsell with the Rangers? Look at it that way. There's a lot of talent on this Texas Rangers team. I might put Counsell ahead. I think in terms of game in, game out, it's not by much. I mean, Bochy, I have to do the whole list here because I'm going to end up forgetting like one really obvious good choice. But I think I'd put Counsell 1. I think I'd probably put at first blush, Bochy 2, maybe 3 if there's someone I'm forgetting. And they're neck and neck too. Like if you found out, okay, if Craig Counsell left for whatever reason, and Bruce Bochy decided he was going to go up to Milwaukee next season, what are your thoughts?
I'd be pumped.
Would you be more pumped than if Craig Counsell signed a 5-year extension?
No, probably not. I mean, I'd be satisfied with each one, to be honest with you, because I think they are that close right now. I mean, Bruce Bochy brings in quite the impressive resume, but I agree with you too. He's had some talented teams, but he's had a lot of postseason success, which is, let's face it, kind of a downfall with Craig Counsell right now.
Yeah, that's true.
When you look at postseason success. So Bochy's got that postseason success.
He's really good with pitching too.
Mm-hmm. I think when you bring in a guy like that has that resume, it brings an instant credibility to the clubhouse. When you bring somebody in like that, and I think that's what has been a big boost for Texas. When he comes in his first year, those guys, he's been out of the game for 4 years, but it's like, okay, this guy's won a lot and he's won couple World Series, kind of knows what he's talking about a little bit.
I mean, my gosh, they went from 68 and 94 to 90 and 72. Now, last year's team was supposed to be probably comparable to this year's team in terms of performance. They way underperformed. They also had injuries last year, but you could see Bochy coming in and the team making a leap. It made sense coming into the season, and then it did, which speaks to Bochy's ability that you go, oh, okay, he gets on board. They're going to be a playoff team. They may win their division. They came a tiebreaker away from doing so. By the way, I don't know if you've noticed the tiebreakers for home field for the World Series. Rangers have it over the Phillies because of that season that was the sweep at the very beginning of the season. Because all three, Phillies, Astros, and Phillies, Astros, and Rangers all have the same record. They're all 90 and 72, so it's head to head based on how they win their season series. So the Rangers could have home field advantage as well, which is really key given how Philadelphia performs at home. That is. When was the last time you saw it's recent, but when was the last time you saw an MLB stadium in the playoffs that's like Cauldron level? That is insane.
Yeah.
At Citizens Bank Park right now.
If Bochy wins a World Series this year, he joins Joe Torre and Walter Aston tied for third most World Series of all time at 4. We just mentioned Connie Mack. He has got 5. You got Joe McCarthy and Casey Stengel at 7 over there. So, I mean, Bruce Bochy would join some elite company up there with another World Series. I mean, he's already an elite company with 3. But he would I mean, would that get him into the Hall of Fame?
I think you have to start talking about it at that point. I haven't heard his name mentioned in the Hall of Fame contexts too much.
Because, I mean, you look at the overall record, he's 499. He's 2,000. He's got over 2,000 wins, but he's got a few more losses than wins right now.
Yeah. Now, his tenure, let's see. So it was Padres 95 to 06. That included the 98 World Series.
Yep, where they got dominated by the Yankees.
Yeah.
But
they had some down years in there, but they had 4 playoff seasons. Goes to the Giants, the 3 World Series, the even year ones, which I think is still really underrated. For some reason.
They won 3 World Series in 6 years? Yeah, because it was every other year. It was even years.
5 years.
5 years, yeah.
10 to 14. And
that's unreal.
I think it's because, they
really good pitching too. So.
Yes, the Bumgarner postseason of 2014, which is that's Pantheon level. I think it's because they weren't necessarily like dominant in those seasons. 2010, they had to beat the Phillies, interestingly, in the NLCS. 2014, they had to win that wild card game to even get anywhere. They could have very easily been shut down to begin, and then ended up winning the World Series. But it seemed really quiet at the time. I remember thinking, why are we underrating the Giants winning 3 out of 5 World Series? But he did it. That's the point. These were not fluke victories. These were solid. Like, they dominated Texas. They dominated Detroit. It was a good 7-game series against Kansas City, and that was with the weakest team record-wise. He's good. And yeah, I know there were the latter seasons in San Francisco weren't as great, though I think some of that has to do with the personnel around him. He's a good manager. He's got good people around him. I don't know how long he'll be for managing, but of course there's a guy that's 6 years older than him across the field, still going. So who knows? Maybe he's got several more years left in him.
You got, I was going to ask this. When we talk about like championships, whether it's a coach or a manager, you look at the NFL, I think it gets so highlighted with a coach and, in a Super Bowl title, how many do they have? It was like I think you would agree if Marty Schottenheimer had a Super Bowl win, he's probably in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say it goes back to the resume builder there? A championship means more to a NFL coach for the resume, MLB coach, NBA? Which if you had to rank them?
I think the NFL, we seem to make a bigger deal out of Super Bowl wins, like when Andy Reid got his.
Yep. That's like, okay, that solidified him in the Hall of Fame.
You see that with quarterbacks, especially. Like AKA the Eli Manning rule. Lack of a better term, but
it's so weird, though, too, because you got a couple coaches. So we say that about Marty Schottenheimer because he's got so many regular season wins. But you've got coaches who have 2 Super Bowl wins and they're not in the Hall of Fame. Shanahan, Coughlin. Maybe eventually they will.
Well, and I wonder if that's changing now that with
with the standard that was set with the Centennial class,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks like probably a lot of these newer court coaches are going to get in because they've won a Super Bowl. Like the standard seems to have been changed / loosened, whether that's right or wrong, but that's a thing now.
Yeah, because honestly, Bill Cowher's in there. Not to degrade his resume, but is that a more impressive tenure than maybe Shanahan with 2 Super Bowls back to back?
Maybe not, but then on the other hand, Cowher was pretty successful overall. He just had a little bit of downtime at the end of the 90s. Otherwise, he was a highly successful head coach.
Heck, Shanahan took RG3 to the postseason.
Good point.
Under Daniel Snyder.
I mean, that's Hall of Fame worthy right there. If you can do anything under Daniel Snyder. Sorry, Mr. Snyder.
Yeah.
No,
we don't get to call him that anymore. He's not an owner.
That's right. Don't have your kids go hang out with his kids. I'd say baseball second.
Yeah.
Especially, and there's a little bit of recency effect in terms of an example, but Dusty Baker winning the World Series last year, there was a bit of it was a combination of this should be the thing that gets him in as like a managerial Hall of Fame or something like that, combined with, gosh, he needs this to establish him as a really highly successful manager. And then he got that. There was sort of this rooting for Dusty Baker sentiment over the past few years, and especially last year when he won it. I mean, I can still picture him when the final out was made, still has his scorebook out, and before everyone, he has got to write down the last thing in the notebook before everyone goes, and I remember that camera shot. That I'd say that's second, third.
Dusty Baker's like a Marty Schottenheimer before he won a World Series, because you look at the wins, he's got a .540 winning percentage. That's better than Bruce Bochy.
Yeah. It's just they couldn't do anything in the playoffs.
Right.
He was the Marty Schottenheimer of baseball managers.
Yes.
I mean, sure, there's another example. I'm blanking. That's a recent example. Like maybe Gene Muck kind of was in that same role as well. Baker totally was. So many playoff failures with so many good regular season teams. I mean, at least he got to the World Series. Schottenheimer didn't get to the Super Bowl. But it's still Giants, remember that, and all the Nationals seasons, et cetera, the Cubs. It's tough between the NBA and NHL, but I think the NBA is third because you did get a little bit more of the mercenary effect with some of them, especially in hockey. So I think NBA is third. And NHL, I mean, heck, you can win the Stanley Cup and then seemingly get fired like after a month of the regular season. It's a little bit of a stretch, but not by much.
Right.
I'd like to look and find out what is the quickest. I should just Google this at the break. It's the quickest an NHL coach has been fired after winning a Stanley Cup, and it can't be that long.
Yeah, you're right. Because I mean, I know I double checked it here. But, like, I could tell you who's got the most Stanley Cup wins in AHL history, but I couldn't tell you after that.
Who's it?
Scotty Bowman.
Of course.
Yeah. But, it's Scotty Bowman, right?
Yeah.
I feel like even just casual fans know Scotty Bowman. That would be the answer for a lot of people.
Yeah, because absolute icon.
Yeah.
I'm not finding anyone immediately on. I'm getting a list of like the fastest firings overall, which there's some.
And then you look at some of the most recent coaches. I mean, Scotty Bowman's fairly recent. His last one was 2002. But then you look at the list of other guys. I mean, you got coaches there who've got 8. Toe Blake, but he last coached in 68. And then you got a bunch of 5s and 4s, but they coached in the 40s, 60s, 80s in there. So, heck, even you got some 30s and 20s in here too. So, you got, I think Mike Sullivan is still an active one. He's 15th with 2.
Jeez.
And John Cooper too.
Yeah. I'm not finding anyone who was fired like again, November after winning a Stanley Cup. But you have some within like 2 years, but that does happen in some other sports as well.
Well, it kind of happened with the Bucks with Budenholzer. So
well,
there
you go. 2 years and he's gone. So it can happen. I think it's more that we've seen people that have they've had a lot of success and then they still get fired fairly quickly. I mean, like, yeah, that's not the good. I saw Peter Laviolette, bouncing around all sorts of teams, but not that fast. So, but it has happened.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Don't forget, stock reports are due. Send those puppies on over. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
You're listening to the Dan Kasper Show.
Winter is straight ahead, but let's think of some warm spring weather. Join me on a farm tour to Costa Rica and Panama, March 23rd through April 1st. We'll visit the Doca Coffee Estate, a local Costa Rican farm, and receive an agricultural presentation in Panama. Other stops include the Arenal National Park, and we'll sail through the Panama Canal. Visit holidayvacations.com, keyword wax, for more information and to watch a travel show, or call 888-557-1020 for a free brochure.
Keep your feet warm and dry this winter with the Shoe Doctor in Eau Claire. Only the Shoe Doctor has over 4,500 styles of footwear and personalized fitting for everyone in your family. It's backed by the Shoe Doctor's exclusive 30-day comfort guarantee, so you know you'll walk away happy. The selection, brands, sizes, widths, service, and prices that fit just right. Come see for yourself at the Shoe Doctor. Easy to find. 2321 Claremont, near Fairfax, in Eau Claire.
Take as little as 3 minutes to see if you could save on motorcycle insurance with Progressive. Come on, you've spent more time than that thinking about helmets with faces on them.
I should get a new helmet. Ooh, maybe I'll get one of those ones that looks like a face with painted teeth and eyebrows, Oh, that always looks so cool. People are like, whoa, is that a person with two faces? Oh, no, it's a helmet and one face.
Get a quote in as little as 3 minutes at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
It's time for the fall haul at Northern Tool and Equipment. Get your hands on tough tools at prices that are tough to ignore. Got plans? Cancel them. Trucks in the shop? Borrow someone else's. Don't like saving money? Right. So head to the fall haul at Northern Tool. Stock up at the season's biggest event and get huge savings on brands like Milwaukee, Honda, and Ingersoll Rand. Shop at northerntool.com. We're made for this.
Join us and other Brewers fans for a fantastic spring training trip of a lifetime in beautiful Arizona. 6 nights, 3 Brewers games, 2 days of sightseeing, and much, much more. Plan your vacation now. Stay at the Crown Plaza Phoenix Chandler Golf Resort with Uber vouchers for rides between Phoenix airports and the resort. There's a welcome reception, daily breakfasts at the resort, 3 Brewers spring training games, professional guide with motor coach transportation to Sedona and Tucson, hosted by Arizona baseball tour staff. There's a souvenir t-shirt and 1 complimentary bucket of range balls per person at the resort golf course driving range. It will be an exciting, fun-filled excursion with memories for a lifetime for everyone. The Brewers Spring Training Trip to beautiful Arizona. Don't miss it. For more information, get to this station's website and begin your vacation today.
You want to feel important.
You want to be part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things.
You want to feel like you belong.
We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it.
We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers.
We are normal people just like you. But our part-time service in the Army National Guard means we get to be more.
When our communities are in need, we get the chance to stand up and do something about it.
We get to serve in our own region and help the people we call neighbors.
From the lakeshores of Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota,
the fertile fields of Indiana, Illinois, and Iowa, to the wide open plains of North and South Dakota.
We are here for our hometowns.
And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Sports. You love it. We love it. And quite frankly, I don't trust anyone who doesn't love it. Do you?
Is that a serious question?
The Dan Kasper Show.
What can we say about our good friends from Carpet City Flooring Center that we haven't said already? Man alive, the impressive work that they do it's amazing. It's awesome. Hudson and I have been spending more time down in the man cave, not just because it's football season or even hunting season and such. It's just because it's with the new floors that we put in there from Carpet City Flooring Center. It's been spectacular. It's been awesome. New soft carpet that brightens up the place. Got the new tile in the kitchen bathroom area over there too. Kind of give it that cabin look feel over there. Hutsy spends more time down there doing his thing, looking at his card collection, playing some games, watching some TV and such. So if you're in the game for some new floor in your home, in your man cave, in your living room, or maybe your office, look no further than Wisconsin's premier flooring store, Carpet City Flooring Center, right here in Eau Claire. The fantastic team, the fantastic staff over there will work with you from start to finish, finding that floor that works within your home and works within your budget. If you're not sure on the styles or the colors, they'll help you. They did it for us. They picked out the colors. They helped us pick out the colors over there too. So they're with you every step of the way. You don't have to worry about it. They're just a awesome people to work with. So friendly, so caring, and such. And you won't be disappointed either if you're looking to upgrade your flooring game. Saw this from Kaylin Kaler just a little bit ago. We've had her on the show a few times. She covers the NFL right now for the Athletic. But she had tweeted out a little bit ago at the NFL fall owners meetings. They're going on right now in New York. Robert Kraft did not walk by media at all yesterday, and this morning he was escorted past with a body man. It seems he does not want to be asked about Bill Belichick. So, my question, is there at any point in time that a coach becomes unfireable? Because I have to imagine it is incredibly awkward or for a guy like Robert Kraft. You have a head coach who's got 7 Super Bowl titles, but your team stinks right now. And it's been stinking for maybe a couple of years here. Does he have that stat? It's almost like a tenured professor, it seems like. You know what I mean? Like when you get to college, you get those tenure. Is there at any point a coach becomes tenured where you can't let him go? Like the closest one I keep going to is like a Tom Landry, but he got fired.
That's the thing. He was.
And I know Shula was around for a long time too with Miami. But
I don't recall the Dolphins being really bad by the time that he left.
I mean, maybe the one downfall is not winning a Super Bowl with Dan Marino, but
Yeah. And Marino was still going when Shula left.
Right.
Side note, by the way, you mentioned Kaylin Kaler. Are we officially now at the point where if you find out Kaylin Kaler is reporting a story involving yourself, watch out? Especially after the Bidwell story.
Yeah, maybe.
To say nothing of everything else. I don't think anyone is, honestly. The Landry one is the great example of that. Now, of course, but again, they were 3-13 in Landry's final season, which was also Jerry Jones's first season.
Yeah,
it dovetailed perfectly.
And see, is that the difference though? New owner, so he kind of has an excuse,
right?
Maybe.
Yeah, if it's 1979 and the Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl or have just come off a Super Bowl appearance. Probably not. That would have been really controversial, but it made sense by the mid to late 80s when the Cowboys were tailing off and then hit a low point.
Mm-hmm.
It was an easy move to make. Because a lot of the other quote unquote greats find ways to leave on their own terms. Lombardi left on his own terms. Hallis was the owner, so he had his own terms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same with Lambeau. Controversial as Lambeau was to other individuals.
Back and forth on then he went to coach somewhere else to get back at Green Bay. That's a fascinating history.
Right. But no one was going to be like you, Curly Lambeau, are not a good really? Okay. Krzyzewski left on good terms.
Yep. Krzyzewski left on his own too. So
same with Dean Smith. it's tough. It's tough to find these examples. What's happening with Belichick is
because I don't think anybody has a really good idea if Belichick will leave on his own. You know what I mean? Like, I know there's some talk like, could he finish his career elsewhere? But will that be because he's fired, or will he leave on his own? Would Bill Belichick give up roster control? Because I think that's his biggest downfall.
The thing is, he seems so cognizant of his place, or maybe not his place, but the place of excellence in football and the perception of that he wouldn't want to ruin it maybe for himself, though, of course, self-evaluation is one of the toughest things any human being can do. And maybe that's clouding his judgment at this point. Maybe he really thought this season the Pats could be kind of a playoff team, and then who knows at that point. And none of it is working. Mac he doesn't have it.
We talk about players that stay a little too long. What's the thing with Green Bay? They always get rid of a player a year, before, right?
Patriots especially so.
Right. Yet, great example with the Patriots. Exactly. Yet, look at the coach. He's staying a couple years too late.
Yeah. He might be at this point.
In any other situation, take away the Super Bowls and look at the last couple of years, would Bill Belichick been fired?
Probably so.
Yeah.
We're getting into, I'm thinking of some of the absolute classic Patriot head coaches of all time. And of course, these will pop into my mind because Bill Simmons mentioned them over and over and over again. But there's some bad ones in history. I'm trying to bring this up here. And of course, the Google didn't quite work. But among the not great ones in recent memories, Dick McPherson, 8-24 over the course of 2 seasons. If the Patriots really have the bottom fallout, Rod Rust, 1990, 1-15. Hey, Phil Bengston, remember?
Yeah.
This is 1-4. Ron Earhart was 21-28 from 79 to 81. They didn't last. Gosh, Ron Meyer was there for 3 years, 18-15. Then he was gone. Raymond Berry was there, and of course he was good in 85 and even 86. But they didn't last that long, and they have bad to so-so record. Well, heck, Pete Carroll, hello, 27-21. He was let go after 3 seasons. This is getting into McPherson territory, and that's not a place you want to be. I don't know that he would be sticking around longer, but what with this bodyguard happening, that's where I'm wondering if Kraft really does want to let him go. And that's going to be that'd be such a massive storyline mid-season that you can't really do anything about it right now.
Mm-hmm. So when I Googled Bill Belichick, there's an article up from a few days ago from Connor Orr, Sports Illustrated. It's not a long read. I haven't had a chance to read it. I just saw it now. But this is the headline that'll grab you. Why Andy Reid could pass Bill Belichick as the greatest coach of all time.
In terms of wins?
I don't think it's in terms of wins. I think it's just overall the body of work.
Wow. I can kind of see the case. I'm curious exactly. It's a what?
It says here, it's not, this is the beginning. It's not a remotely original thought to imagine that one day Andy Reid may actually be considered the greatest coach of all time when his career is finished. He has fewer Super Bowl championships than Bill and 48 fewer wins, but the pair are separated by 7 years, and Reid is now just rounding into the athletic prime of Patrick Mahomes. Should Reid have 7 or 8 good seasons out of Mahomes? Only a notion that is not impossible, but we have to be realistic about injuries and wear. Only Tom Brady has truly escaped the ravages of time on the body. He could comfortably pass down Shula, who has 347 wins to Reid's 273. And then he goes and makes the case about the different quarterbacks Reid has had: Alex Smith, Jeff Garcia, Donovan McNabb. Those guys maybe considered compared to Bill Belichick, who had Tom Brady.
And at least the wins are more comparable. Like
Mhm.
when with the whole Tom Landry, wow, well, also how many playoff games did Landry get a chance to coach? I think he would have accrued a whole lot more in the way of wins with a longer season and more playoff games that Andy Reid had the opportunity to win. Percentages mean a lot more. But in the case of Belichick, it's more comparable. Yeah, I know Belichick coached a little longer with back into the 90s, but still close.
Isn't it just kind of crazy? We were talking about Andy Reid in the last hour about, finally winning that one champ, how just a few years difference can make to where we were like, oh, is he even a Hall of Famer? He needs to win a Super Bowl. To now there's like, oh, could he actually have the most wins and be the best of all time?
Yeah.
A few years different. And you know what? Not only just a few years, but having a pretty good quarterback helps coaches too. These two coaches, they've had some greats. They've had a couple good ones.
Mm-hmm.
Patty Mahomes and Tom Brady. Not bad. Not bad coaches.
Well, and that's the comp. If any player is close to Tom Brady in a broad sense, I don't think it's exactly a hot take to say it's Patrick Mahomes. That's the Kansas City Chiefs could be, and again, this kind of goes back to what I was saying about Anthony Edwards earlier on, how it's really tough to evaluate as it's happening. We could be seeing the next New England Patriots kind of developing before our eyes. Not exactly the same, but close. And they win another title maybe this year, next year, accrue a few more, and there's where those numbers start to pile up, and suddenly you're like, oh my gosh, he did it. I think that's the case Conor Orr's making. Conor Orr's great writer, so at first blush it makes seem like a hot take. It's not really, if you think about it. I think it's more a question of genius versus general success. Belichick is considered one of the smartest football coaches we've ever had, at least in the modern era, in terms of smart combined with success. Andy Reid, not that he's considered one of the stupidest ones, but
I think he's considered one of the most adaptable ones.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's a different type of coach. He was knocked on for a while for his timeout calling.
Mm-hmm.
He seemed to have a liability, which doesn't seem to be as much of a problem anymore, interestingly. So
well, I'm gonna play a little devil's advocate here. Good cop, bad cop here.
Okay.
So we talked about coaches, championships, what sport needs more. Let me throw this out there. Do we tend to overrate coaches based off of Super Bowl wins? Bill Belichick has 6 Super Bowl. I think I said or 7 earlier. 6 Super Bowl wins as a head coach. Tom Brady, head coach. Chuck Noll's got 4. Terry Bradshaw, who's in the Hall of Fame too. Yes, I know the defense and all that too, but Terry Bradshaw has 2 wide receivers, Hall of Fame. Bill Walsh, he had a guy named Joe Montana. Andy Reid, his 2 Super Bowl wins. Patrick Mahomes. The one outlier in this whole thing is like Joe Gibbs, which maybe we should recognize Joe Gibbs a little bit more.
Yes,
because he's got 3 different quarterbacks there.
Very much underrated.
Vince Lombardi, 2, Bart Starr, Hall of Fame quarterback. Do we tend to maybe kind of give too much credit to coaches, and not enough to the pairing that it needs to be? Like it's the quarterback and it's the head coach relationship. It's the combo there. Unless you're Joe Gibbs and you can make anything work, it seems like.
I think it depends on like
Shanahan's too. He had John Elway. George Seifert's too. Only had Young, and that worked out pretty well for him too. Jimmy Johnson, Troy Aikman.
I think it is scenario by scenario. If you have a really good quarter, well, it gets back to the Belichick Brady debate and which one was the more obvious one. By the way, where are we at in this debate now?
I think it's Brady.
But he had the advantage of leaving a little earlier. See, now if Brady's playing this year, and if it's Brett Favre circa 2010, and he's getting clubbed, I'm not saying that that would have happened, but if that's happening, you're like, oh, maybe not. But he was
to be fair though, Brady would have been 10 years older than Favre.
That's also true. But he also held up longer. I mean, Brady was. It looked like, if I recall correctly, Brady was starting to look a little bit off last season, but not to the point of, well, I think he's lost it. You might actually retroactively say that about Bill Belichick a little bit. And yeah, I think that might be the answer.
So would you rather have a really good head coach or a really good quarterback?
I think I'd rather have a really good quarterback, honestly. Those seem to be the absolute playmakers, the ones who find ways to win championships. How many, think of legendary Super Bowl moments. How many can you think of, like especially the ones with like NFL Films highlights and stuff like that, or where there are stories like the John Candy story? How many can you think of that involve the quarterback? How many can you think of? This is a rhetorical question. How many can you think of that involve a head coach? Oftentimes we hear about the quarterback, Joe Montana, in multiple situations. To a degree, Tom Brady, though Brady didn't actually have a lot of great games and some of his Super Bowl wins. But then, I do keep thinking of Hank Stram, but he had the luxury of being like the first really mic'd up head coach ever.
Lombardi's one's too on there too. So,
right, yeah. And all, what the hell? And that wasn't even a good game for the Packers anyway. Yeah,
So if you could have Patrick Mahomes or Andy Reid or Shanahan, who would you rather have?
Okay, for like my team, there's a good example. I want Patrick Mahomes. End of story.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter who your coach is.
I'll take him with Kevin O'Connell. I think they can win a Super Bowl with. It's not saying that Kevin O'Connell's bad, but I think Patrick Mahomes with Kevin O'Connell could win a Super Bowl. Andy Reid with Kirk Cousins, I'm not convinced.
All right.
And that's with a pretty good Kirk Cousins. I'm not sure. I think there's a better chance than Kevin O'Connell. I will trade Andy Reid for Kevin O'Connell and some draft picks and players to be named later. Sure, fine. But Patrick Mahomes makes stuff happen on the field that can't necessarily be coached. I think that's innate to Patrick Mahomes, the football player. Mm-hmm. Akin to what I think in some cases was innate to Tom Brady, was innate to certain other players. Certain like Aaron Rodgers, there's certain things we've seen in him that it's innate to him. And I keep using that word, but it's him. You can't coach certain elements of those games, which is ironic that I mentioned Aaron Rodgers, given how he needed to be coached to retool his approach. But he also had certain things in him, he still does.
Now you bring up Aaron Rodgers. Can a coach hold back a quarterback from winning a Super Bowl? Or is it the quarterback that holds the team back, egocentric, you know where I'm going with this thing?
Yeah.
From not getting back to another Super Bowl.
Yes, I know exactly the example you're referencing. But I think the coach is more likely to do so because they have a broader philosophy that may not fit the talents of that particular coach. Quarterback. That is not to say that Mike McCarthy held back Aaron Rodgers. I'm gonna go right there on that one too. No, but it seems as though we've had other examples of. I think that happens in sports. Period. Take the Lakers. Paul Westphal and they were really good. Got rid of Westphal because Pat Riley would be better. And then look what happened. They got better on top of that. We've seen this happen. Doug Collins to Phil Jackson. Mm-hmm. This happens in sports. We might be seeing it in real time with the Milwaukee Bucks. Here's yet another real time thing. I don't know if Adrian Griffin's going to. Okay, that's pretty high praise to compare Adrian Griffin to Phil Jackson and Pat Riley. But
before he's coached a regular season game, yeah,
right. But could that happen where we look back and go, thank gosh they got rid of Budenholzer because they brought in Griffin, and then the Bucks and Giannis won 3 titles in the mid-20s. It's possible.
But I think that's where that thin line is so much. I am a firm believer you need the head coach and quarterback combo to become a dynasty, to win multiple Super Bowls. Mm-hmm. It's just trying to find that right match.
That's the thing. Brady on his own, yes, won a Super Bowl on his own away from Belichick. Belichick has not had success on his own, but some of it could also be timing. Maybe Belichick peaked earlier, and we don't know what he would have been like in, say, 2010 without just to pick out a random year. No, they didn't win the Super Bowl that year, but what if?
But I think Andy Reid's a perfect example. Like, great coach, like gets to that point, right? Wins a bunch of games, gets to a point. Just need a little bit more. In steps Patrick Mahomes.
And he may have matured as a coach because you're constantly maturing. Now, maybe you over-mature. Maybe you've, I guess, over-ripened, and maybe that's what we're seeing with Belichick now. But Reed might have matured because, again, you don't hear the knocks on his timeouts. A lot of his, too much. I mean, his play calling's not perfect, but it sure seems more refined than it's ever been. And that might be in part because he's got a guy like Mahomes, and it could be symbiotic. Part of it's also, he's probably become a better coach, period. And you see that in the play calling. The play calls, the Peter King play calls that he talked. I can't remember the exact names, but if you've read the Football Morning Enemy, you know the ones after the Super Bowl. They worked.
Wasn't it like cheeseburger or some weird thing like that?
Something, corn dog or whatever, but it worked, and that was an Andy Reid play call, and it worked. Combined with them and with other people, Eric Bieniemy, the wide receivers, Kelsey, the deep, all of that combines. But Reid was responsible for a lot of that. You weren't seeing that before. So so I guess the long journey to a short answer is it's a bit both.
And then you got Kyle Shanahan, who seems like he could turn whatever quarterback he's given into, and you can win some games.
Right.
So
yeah. And so, I mean, does Kyle Shanahan look that much better?
So maybe for Packers fans, let me ask you this. Would you rather have Kyle Shanahan as your head coach?
I think.
Or Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback?
Ooh. I want to hear what the people have to say on that.
All right.
That's an interest. Given that Kyle Shanahan was being ripped up until about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
A lot of that has to do with the Super Bowl, 28-3. But he was not. They seemed to be almost failing up a little bit. You see that a lot with coaches. Well, I know he's had a couple moments, but he seems to be. Is he a top 5 coach right now?
Andy Reid. I mean, is Bill Belichick top 5 coach right now?
Yeah, I don't think he is.
I don't either. I think you got to put Nick from Philly in there.
Gosh, as he ascended.
Yeah. I think you do. I think Kyle Shanahan's top 5.
Yeah. I mean, if you're doing fantasy coach drafting right now, you'd probably take Kyle Shanahan. So if you are a Packer fan listening right now, and odds are pretty good you are, text us. What do you think? Would you rather have Mahomes as your quarterback? Like right now, take as is. Patrick Mahomes takes Jordan Love's place, but you have Matt LaFleur, everyone else, or Kyle Shanahan coaching up Jordan Love and everyone else as is right now.
Yeah.
It's neither.
I'm really curious to see where people go with this one.
And I won't chime in because I want to see what a true Packer fan listening thinks about that.
Maybe I'll put it up as a Twitter poll too.
Yeah.
How about that?
Wow.
So, all right, let's take a quick break so we can finish up the second hour. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Got a take on today's topics but can't call in? Then hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or the text line and let your fingers do the talking.
Picture this. You're surrounded by the serene beauty of the great outdoors, waiting patiently for your moment. It's not just a hobby, it's a passion. We're talking hunting. At Tilden Gun, they understand the thrill and excitement that comes with hunting, whether it's for deer, turkey, or duck. That's why they offer a wide range of high-quality firearms, ammunition, and accessories to help you make the most of your hunting experience. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned hunter, Tilden Gun will help you find the perfect firearm that suits your needs and preferences. But it's not just about the hunt. It's about the memories, the camaraderie, and the bond with nature. Tilden Gun is proud to be a part of your hunting journey, ensuring that you have the tools and equipment you need to make unforgettable memories in the great outdoors. Visit Tilden Gun in store at 12427 90th Avenue in Chippewa Falls or online at tildengun.com to explore their wide selection of firearms, ammunition, scopes, and hunting accessories. Be safe and best of luck in the great outdoors.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. My training helps me at work when I lead by example. The Army National Guard has taught me the value of showing respect to those I come in contact with each day. My service also allows me to be there for my community in ways others can't. I help my hometown recover after nature strikes. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my country and those I care about safe from threats. I also work with a network of professionals that help me succeed and accomplish the mission. Plus, the Army National Guard education benefits make getting a higher education a reality. Being an Army National Guard soldier makes living and serving in my community more rewarding every day. Learn how you too can live and serve part-time, close to home by visiting nationalguard.com.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard, aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Register to win a Ford F-150 XLT at Menards. See store for details.
As a roofer, I've got a million things to do, and that's a million things that need to be done right. That's why I partner with Beacon. The team at Beacon makes sure my materials are delivered accurately and on time. And the Beacon Pro Plus app makes ordering the brands I depend on, like CertainTeed Landmark Pro, easier than ever. I rely on Beacon because I never stop building, and neither do they. Now through November, purchase CertainTeed through Beacon Pro Plus and earn up to $750. Beacon, always building.
If you were to listen to Dan Kasper nonstop around the clock for a solid month, you'd become the king of all sports fans, desired by beautiful women, and rich beyond your dreams. I think. Try it and let's see. The Dan Kasper Show.
I'll alter the question just a little bit. If you could have, like, because maybe some people don't view Shanahan as the best coach. So if you could have the best coach in the league, whether it's Reed or Shanahan or whoever you think it is, or the best quarterback, Mahomes, Joe Burrow, whoever, what would you rather have?
Okay.
How about that?
Fair point.
Because right now it's about 50-50. Right now it's about 50-50. Surveyor saying hands down Shanahan. Jake just simply says Mahomes. We got a couple other tweets over there too. So it's 50-50 right now. So, but I'm kind of curious to see where this goes.
Interesting.
Who do you think is the best coach in the NFL right now? Do you go Shanahan or Reed or somebody else?
I like how Shanahan gets folks up and kind of ready to go. Getting over the hump is the key, though. I've always liked John Harbaugh.
Yeah.
I really like Mike Tomlin. Of course, part of that's just Tomlin is like football coach. It's weird. Again, Reed's history of not quite being there is throwing me off, and it shouldn't. So maybe I should say Reed. I know and I might change my mind later, but at first blush, I'd say Reed.
Reed, okay. Yeah.
Subject to change.
Right now, 75% on the Twitter poll in a matter of just a few seconds going quarterback. So we'll see if that changes. All right. 2 in. We got one more to go. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
WAYY Eau Claire, W286CK Eau Claire, Sports Talk 105.1 and 790 AM. From the 715 Newsroom, it's Morgan McCarthy with your news on Sports Talk 105.1.
Good morning. Here's what we're learning today. We'll start close to our area and in the courts with a judge saying there is enough evidence to take the fourth suspect in last September's killing in Eau Claire to trial. A judge yesterday refused Jamon Sullivan's request to dismiss the charges against him, as Eau Claire police say Sullivan is allegedly one of 4 people who killed Christopher Connor last September at the intersection of Bergen and Bellevue. Investigators say the 4 reportedly got into a fight with Connor after a night of bar hopping. The 3 other suspects in the case are in Eau Claire County Jail awaiting trial. To the lawmaker level, and that has some action swinging for the fences. A $545 million proposal to pay for repairs and renovations at American Family Field cleared the state assembly Tuesday. Assembly Minority Leader Greta Neubauer saying Democrats are split, but not because they don't want the Brewers to stay here in Scotty.
This is a big investment, and there are many other critically important priorities that should receive more attention from this body and necessitate urgent action on behalf of the people of Wisconsin.
Speaker Robin Voss said this was a good deal for everyone involved.
If the Brewers leave, dollars follow. The dollars that follow means we have less money to invest in all the critical things people think are important. That's a fact.
The bill would raise income taxes on players and staff that take the field at AmFam, including the Brewers. It would also require extra buy-in funding from Milwaukee City and County. The bill now heads to the state Senate. Governor Tony Evers said Tuesday that a deal needs to be made. As we look into some other headlines, Wisconsin's governor is going to have to try again to get people on the DNR board, as the Wisconsin Senate rejected 4 of the governor's appointees yesterday. Senate Majority Leader Kevin Lemmyhugh said the 4 weren't qualified and refused to follow the law. Governor Evers nominated 4 new people now yesterday to try to to take over the board. And sometimes, things get kicked to the bottom of the list, like returning that library book for a week or 2 or 90 years.
Westchester's Larchmont Public Library received an overdue book in the mail from Virginia, and when they looked at its due date, it had been checked out this month, only it was October of 1933. Library officials say given the normal overdue fee structure, Joseph Conrad's Youth and Two Other Stories should have set a borrower back more than $6,000. However, due to a library policy, there's only a $5 charge because after a certain period of time, the book is considered lost. So they simply thanked the sender and waived the fee. Liz Warner, NBC News Radio, New York.
We started implementing that around here. Every time I come into the studio, Casper's got to pony up, but
only a $5 charge.
And our friendship is priceless. For Sports Talk 105.1, I'm Morgan McCarthy.
Clouds have moved in through the overnight and will give way to a few chances at some showers throughout the day. They'll be pretty scattered, and rainfall total is not going to be that impressive. Temperatures mostly in the low 60s. Later on tonight, cloud cover hangs around, possibly another chance at an isolated shower. But we get on the backside of the system by tomorrow. Slightly cooler with highs in the mid-50s and a few more chances at some showers. I'm 13 First Alert meteorologist Mike D'Andrea.
Get ready to save half with half-off deals. It's a great way for you to get goods and services that you will love, and you don't have to pay full price. Start saving this Friday, October 20th, with Carl's Barbecue Express and Jim Bob's Pizza. Be ready with your credit or debit card and get ready to save with this week's half-off deals. For more details and to find out about all the savings, just go to aroundthe715.com.
Audible has the best stories of the year with an unbeatable selection of audiobooks, podcasts, and more. Ignite your imagination with a free 30-day trial at audible.com.
Let me ask you something. Did you name your firstborn after a football player?
Hell yeah.
Did you spend your honeymoon going to a football game?
Oh, you betcha, yeah.
Do you spend most of your free time hanging out in your man cave?
Yes, yes, yes.
If you answered yes to all the above, then you, my friend, are a serious sports fan just like Dan.
Yes.
This is exactly where you belong. Sports talking and BSing is what we do best.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
So rise and grind, people, because the Dan Kasper Show is on the air.
You serious, Clark?
Right now.
Showtime! Woo!
Next in line, going Kyle Shanahan. In the video stream, we got James saying go with the best coach. The Twitter poll is literally 50-50 right now.
Interesting.
So it's tight.
It is.
It's tight.
That does surprise me a little bit.
Okay.
But
don't make your pick yet.
Right. But again, I think a lot of it has to do team by team, because then you're accounting for who is your quarterback, who is your coach. That's why, like, I have to only say it with regard to my when I suppose anyone also listening who's like, our resident Dolphin fans we have, per our discussion last week, Dolphins fans that listen. Well, what would you do right now? Now they may be like, we're good. But for anyone who's got their own team, how would you do that? If you're a Bears fan, are you subbing out Justin Fields for Patrick Mahomes, but you still like Matt Eberflus, or vice versa?
Let me ask, well, what if I put it this way? What if you were a brand new team and we're going to change the rules? Instead of doing the draft that they do where you put players up there, you can also put your head coach available.
Wow.
But for the first pick, if you don't pick a coach, then, you could either pick a coach or that quarterback. Anybody's available. And you're a brand new team.
Side note.
But then you can't make another one until like later on or something like that. So
would that be a fun change up for future expansion teams?
Yes.
All 32 head coaches, one of them could go.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Boy, it would never happen, but
Yeah, I never would, but
Boom,
that would
that
be
would
interesting.
So fascinating.
Yep.
Best current coach versus best current player. I'd probably go best current coach because you've got so much else to put together. That seems to be more of an overall operating philosophy sort of thing. And if you don't get the right coach, because I'm also thinking like, well, when you're fantasy drafting, cool, you get this one guy, but then if you're like in a snake and you pick like first, but then you don't pick again until like 18th or something, and if you don't make the good pick at the top, you can kind of be gutted below that. Whereas with a coach, they oversee so many aspects of the franchise, personnel, schemes, etc. I would go coach.
For all of you who have chimed in, give me your reasons. I'm going to act as judge and jury on this one. I need convincing on either side. So
okay,
I'm gonna do a little Law and Order here, or a little Judge Dan. How about that?
Yeah.
So I want make the case. Make the case why you think either or. Okay.
Okay.
So all right, stock reports. Whose stock is rising?
Cannot believe I'm saying this. New York Football Jets. I mean, I don't know if they're going to be a playoff team. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be back for sure. But I'm kind of amazed that we're this far into the season and we're talking about this as a possibility, given what we saw in week 1. It seemed like this team was on verge of tire fire 1-16 territory. And they're not. They're I don't want to say they're fluking their way to win because their defense is holding up. I thought there was going to be more regression, and their offense is not completely collapsed either. If they get a break here or there, you have teams like the Chargers. Good job charging again. The more things change, the more they stay the same. They could kind of work their way to a 7th seed, and now again, they're not winning the Super Bowl. I don't care if Aaron Rodgers, they're not winning the Super Bowl. But that might, like if you're doing betting and a playoff bet, it wouldn't be the craziest idea. And I know everyone bet on the Jets at the beginning of the season, but I have to imagine the numbers right now are better. Yeah, they are a stock riser, if not anywhere close to a Super Bowl favorite.
Could we say the best team in football, the Detroit Lions, right now?
They are number 2 in DVOA. The only other time that has happened, and I was reading it last night, was the after 1 week, and then the 1981 season, and that as far back as DVOA goes. This is almost unprecedented. They'd have to be number 1 to be unprecedented.
So my stock riser, though, is the Detroit Lions. With the losses by Philly and San Francisco, you look at Detroit right now, they're trending upward. I know they got that hiccup loss with Seattle. I kind of put that over the maybe a little hangover after beating the Chiefs in week 1 sort of thing. But right now, Detroit rolling. They're humming. And I'll say stock riser to Detroit fans because you are showing up on the road for your team too.
Yeah.
I know they were talked about. It annoyed me as a Packers fan to see all that blue in Lambeau Field, but they did it in Tampa too. So pun intended. But they did it in Tampa as well. So shout out to Detroit fans for coming out. Shout out. You guys are, you know what? Kudos to you. You're doing a job well done right now.
Yes.
So
100% agree on that. Stock faller, Miami Marlins. Good job, guys. So you have a up-and-coming GM, and you're like, maybe we're going to, what I heard that this might involve bringing in a director of baseball operations on top of Kim Ng. Really? Okay, maybe this is part of the clearinghouse of the Derek Jeter era, and point is, the team has not been really going anywhere, and maybe they've got some philosophy it'll work out in 5 years. Kim Ng seemed to be making some pretty good moves, and you want to either kind of demote her or do other stuff. What are you doing? Cool. So she's going to probably go on to. And maybe she gets the Red Sox job, which
she deserves a general manager job.
And I think she will get one too. I mean, I know there's always that thought of, well, is this going to be the classic? Oh, well, yeah, the woman didn't work out, so I guess that. Well, I think we're past that. I think she proved herself well enough. The fact that I'm bringing it up right now, it's really more of a knock on the Marlins, which I know the Marlins are so easy to knock for assorted reasons over their history. This might actually be. How do I put this? And as I'm ripping on them, The reasoning might be among the best of bad Marlins decisions in their franchise history, but it's still a bad decision. We're going to find out soon enough exactly what it was. But the end result is, I think the Marlins end up staying mediocre, and Kim Ng goes on somewhere else, and maybe she joins one of the Blue Bloods. I guess depending on where she goes, especially goes to the American League. If you're a Brewers fan, I probably hope Kim Ng doesn't end up going to. He's not going to go to the Mets. We know that. But doesn't go to. Gosh, what if somehow she ended up with like the Cubs or someone like that? What would you think if Kim Ng ended up with a Central Division team? Like if she went to the Cardinals, if the Cardinals decided to blow everything up after this past season, and Kim Ng was hired as the general manager.
I mean, yeah, she's proven to be a very good talent evaluator and a good general manager. I think she would improve any team that she goes to,
especially if she goes to a team with a more of a climate of winning. I think that it's a little too early to be said, and she hasn't had enough deals to show for sure. It was a short tenure, but she's thought of pretty highly, really smart, and I think if she went to a team like St. Louis or a team with mega resources like Boston, even if supposedly they're not, the ownership doesn't value it as much in its assets in Liverpool, et cetera. If you go to one of those teams, I think she's going to be able to have a lot more success, a lot more of a spotlight too, but a lot more success. So Marlins, really, guys? Okay, cool. Stock baller for sure.
My stock follower is the Carolina Panthers right now. The wheels are coming off fast. I mean, we didn't expect a whole lot from Carolina. At least I didn't this year. But now you got your first-year head coach, Frank Reich, already giving up play calling duties. You're looking at your schedule. And remember, too, you don't have your first-round pick this year. Chicago Bears currently hold that, and they got back-to-back. So you're looking at your schedule. You got the Texans coming up in the C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young game there. Texans and CJ Stroud playing really well, considering, expectations and such. Colts, Bears. After that, where's there going to be a win for Carolina? Odds are maybe they'll get one after what we saw from this past week. But Cowboys, Titans could be a win. Never know. Mike Vrabel and that. Buccaneers, Saints, Falcons, Packers, Jaguars, Buccaneers again. Defense over there. Not very good in Carolina right now.
Just watching the highlights of the Dolphins game, are we seeing, as a bit of a comp, the 1998, is that right? Or 1999, sorry. 1999 Peyton Manning season. Or sorry, it would have been 98 because they were good in 99. Is this the 1998 Peyton Manning season that we're seeing with Bryce Young? We're like, poor, bad pick. But the
difference is that Indianapolis didn't give up a future first-round pick, and they don't have anything in the first round for this upcoming year.
Yeah,
that's setting them back a little bit.
It's not ideal, shall we say?
And you look at C.J. Stroud, who was, second overall pick, but everybody's like, oh, yeah, he's going to fall in the first round. Dude's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Looking really good right now.
I do not want to give up on Bryce Young this early, and I'm not going to. I'm worried that this is not working out, but I think there's something else. Nothing nefarious. I mean, it's just something is not clicking right now with this franchise as currently constituted, and I think it could change relatively quickly. I mean, they were pretty decent last year, so it's not like it went to, well, again, the Cardinals to go to some team that seems to have fundamental problems with their organization. I think they can get better fairly quickly, but I hope for his sake that the scheming gets better fast.
All right. So remind me again, did you pick coach or quarterback?
I went with quarterback, but that I was doing the Reader Mahomes, but I think that's a safe one to choose. And I would take, just quick reminding myself, I still think I would go with the quarterback. I'd say that in part because the Vikings haven't really had an all-timer quarterback for a long time since Fran Tarkenton. There have been moments, like Warren Moon or Randall Cunningham at their peaks, but if
Kirk Cousins is with Kyle Shanahan, do you think Kirk Cousins wins the Super Bowl?
And
Are the Minnesota Vikings not winning the Super Bowl because of Kirk Cousins?
I think it's bigger than that. I don't think it's Cousins. I think Cousins went to a not super ideal scenario for his chances to win. He could have gone to way worse, but he didn't go to the best either. And
remember too, your best chance for Minnesota here. I'm kind of making a case for one side here, but Case Keenum was your quarterback, and that was like your best year in the last few years. Case Keenum is not a top quarterback.
No, I think that sometimes you do get the fluke years, which that speaks more to Mike Zimmer,
right?
It's basically it's like the poor man's 1991 Washington team with Joe Gibbs and Mark Rippon. Rippon had a good moment there. Keenum had a good moment there. Like I said, it's a poor man's one. It's not quite the comparison. That was a very, very good team in 1991 for Washington.
In fact, that NFC Championship game at eventual Super Bowl was Nick Foles and Case Keenum, for crying out loud.
Gosh, in retrospect, that looks wild. Absolutely wild. Yeah, but I would still go. I'd still go quarterback. But okay, but back to the Cousins thing. That's a what if. I kind of wish, if I could be the major domo over all things NFL. I would like to see Cousins with Shanahan, and let's see what happens.
And that's the thing, too. Like with Shanahan, how many years in a row have we been talking about them rumored for another quarterback? You know what I mean? Like it was Jimmy G. They got Jimmy G. All right, they got the quarterback. No. Then they get the top pick. Well, Kyle Shanahan wants Mac Jones. They get Trey Lance. Then it's not Trey Lance. And they fall into Brock Purdy's lap. Last pick of the draft, and he's making it work over there. But it feels like every other year, it's like, even with the Aaron Rodgers thing, it's like, oh, yeah, Aaron Rodgers is probably going to, 49ers interested. They're going to go after him, or Matt Stafford, or whatever. It's always like, I think maybe it's a media-driven thing where it's like, it can't work with guys like Brock Purdy and that. They need that all-star, superstar quarterback.
It's happening in real, oh gosh, I keep saying real time today. But that's true. There's still the sense of, is he really that good? And like, as soon as Purdy had a bad game, like, well, maybe this is it. Like, hang on, folks. He had 13 good games in a row, has one bad game. Is this the real Brock Purdy? Like, I'm overstating it a little bit, but there was this sense of, whoa, hold on here. Really? So let me that hardcore with recency bias, but that's the thing with the Niners. There's not that trust.
So it's an interesting how the pattern's shaping up here. Twitter is by far quarterback, 66.7%. But every text is coach.
Wow.
So that's where it's around 50-50. Let me throw this scenario out, and then I'll go through some of the texts after we take a break. If Jordan Love was on the 49ers right now, are the 49ers still 5-1?
Hate to say it, the way Jordan Love's been playing right now, I don't think so.
Can you do that comparison?
Yeah.
And if Shanahan's with Packers with Jordan Love, are the Packers 2-3, or are they 3-2, 4-1?
My opinion, they're better. They're they're maybe 4-2, or 4-2. I'm my math right, but they're a better team record wise with Kyle Shanahan. I'm not sure how much given the personnel, but they're better.
All right, I'm going to give everybody else a chance to chime in. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll get to some of your comments coming up in just a couple minutes.
The Dan Kasper Show will be right back.
Life can be a real pain, but you know what? It doesn't have to be. That is if you visit Shepke Chiropractic. At Shepke Chiropractic, they're dedicated to helping you achieve a pain-free, healthy life. Dr. Logan understands that each person is unique and will tailor their care to meet your specific needs. Shepke Chiropractic's goal is to work with each patient to achieve their goals and perform to their fullest potential in the capacity that their life requires. They offer in-depth assessment and a thorough, caring approach to correcting your body, mind, and soul. So let me ask you two simple questions. Are you tired of living with pain and discomfort? Are you ready to take control of your health and well-being? Don't let pain hold you back any longer. Make your appointment with Shepke Chiropractic at one of their 2 locations today. Just visit ShepkeChiropractic.com to learn more and to book your appointment. Your journey to a healthier and more fulfilling life starts here at Shepke Chiropractic. Make your appointment today at ShepkeChiropractic.com.
America is kept safe because the Army National Guard responds, protects, and supports our nation when it needs them most. From fighting wildfires with air support, helping civilians in flooded neighborhoods, to delivering food and supplies to those who have lost everything, the Army National Guard always responds when disaster strikes. The Army National Guard also trains to be ever vigilant against threats, foreign and domestic. They protect our skies with missile defense weaponry. They secure our information, communications, and infrastructure with cybersecurity. And they protect us against chemical, biological, and radiological hazards with the civilian support team. The Army National Guard also stands ready to deploy and provide support for conflicts or humanitarian missions abroad. Join the Army National Guard and be there to respond, protect, and support your community and your country. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
The recent collapses of some of America's largest banks could be devastating for small businesses needing financing. But Swish Funding is there with the funds you need for expansion, inventory, increased overhead, and slow cash flow. If you have at least $25,000 in monthly revenue and have been in business for at least a year, we're ready to help with funding from $5,000 to $5 million with no collateral or personal guarantee needed. Applying takes just minutes with funds in your bank account within 24 hours. Go to swishfunding.com. That's SWISH funding.com.
It's time for the fall haul at Northern Tool and Equipment. Get your hands on tough tools at prices that are tough to ignore. Got plans? Cancel them. Trucks in the shop? Borrow someone else's. Don't like saving money? Right. So head to the fall haul at Northern Tool. Stock up at the season's biggest event and get huge savings on brands like Milwaukee, Honda, and Ingersoll Rand. Shop at northerntool.com. We're made for this.
If Culligan isn't treating your home's water, you likely have water problems all around you, like hard-to-clean, chalky residue on your shower, faucets, and bath, stains around your sink drains, spots on your dishes and glassware, plus dull, dried-out hair and skin, and problems you don't see, like scaly buildup in the water heater and pipes. But have no fear. You're in the clear with Culligan Products and Service. For all your residential and commercial water filtration needs,
visit CulliganH2O.com for your local Culligan water dealer.
Keep your feet warm and dry this winter with the Shoe Doctor in Eau Claire. Only the Shoe Doctor has over 4,500 styles of footwear and personalized fitting for everyone in your family. It's backed by the Shoe Doctor's exclusive 30-day comfort guarantee, so you know you'll walk away happy. The selection, brands, sizes, widths, service, and prices that fit just right. Come see for yourself at the Shoe Doctor. Easy to find. 2321 Claremont near Fairfax in Eau Claire.
Maybe you miss parts of the Dan Kasper Show because of the clown that lives in the sewer.
You will do.
Don't worry. You can get highlights of the show on the Man Cave Podcast, available on your favorite podcasting platforms.
All right, so let's go through some of the texts here, shall we? Would for sure go coach is from Adam in Menominee. Would for sure go coach. Look what Shanahan has done with not great quarterbacks. Side note, how quick this changes. 5 years ago, it's handing down Belichick. Now, here for sure towards the bottom list. But isn't that an example right there in itself there, Luke?
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about Shanahan and what he's done with not great quarterbacks. Belichick, who is widely regarded as, one of the best, if not the best, and now he's like, are we getting fired? Because he doesn't have a quarterback.
Right. He's not coaching. Now, I mean, maybe Mac Jones is banging up against the ceiling of what Mac Jones can do, but it's not. Where's the other option? I mean, Bailey Zappi looked, well, as Packer fans know, Bailey Zappi looked pretty good at that very first game, but Bailey Zappi's also not become a long-term quarterback over there. He's a backup.
Mm-hmm.
He's cut, came back. Is not that great.
Another texter, Kyle Shanahan, 49er system, because you could plug in and play literally anyone in the system still works, unless you run out of quarterbacks, as we saw in the NFC Championship.
Well, I mean, that can be an obstacle.
You know, I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm not tipping what I'm picking here yet. I'm going to keep everybody on edge so everybody could get mad at me. But I'm
You're going to hold this to the podcast, aren't you?
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Okay. Literally anyone in the system still works. How many Super Bowls does Kyle Shanahan have?
0.
And
28-3, partially on his resume.
You went there.
I did.
You did go there.
That was the prime knock on Kyle Shanahan. A little bit unfair because it's pointing at the bright, shiny object, but that was the thing, that his offensive calling was not that great in the Super Bowl, and maybe a little bit more would have been just enough to allow the Falcons to be a Super Bowl champion, but no.
I wish I had the Kelso 70s show burn clip as a hotkey. I could have just played right there. Surveyor Shanahan literally has Mr. Irrelevant as his quarterback and is still dominating. He has no Hall of Fame quarterback, still has a top 3 offense. He schemes his playmakers open and is the most creative coach I've ever seen. We've seen great quarterbacks with bad coaches. Their numbers always go down. Look at Rodgers at the end of the McCarthy era. So waiting on, everybody got Twitter, I should say everybody, but close to 70% going quarterbacks, 68.4% on Twitter are going with quarterbacks, except for Jordan on Twitter said, coach all day, every day. Look at all the Super Bowls Belichick and Reed have with Hall of Fame caliber quarterbacks. Then look at Green Bay with Rodgers, enough set.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, and I mean,
is it the quarterback?
Well, and then you could start to tie in, but in San Francisco, they have John Lynch looking like a pretty good GM.
Is it
versus Brian Gutekunst? What do you think? Blah, 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 blah.
Let me, I want to go back to Jordan's tweet, though. Jordan said, coach all day, every day. Look at all the Super Bowls Belichick and Reed have with Hall of Fame caliber quarterbacks. Isn't that making the argument for quarterback almost?
Kind of.
But then I know you said, then look at Green Bay with Rodgers. So, it's there. But they still had a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Could be one individual, though. It could be something with Aaron Rodgers. Well, we could go into that whole discussion of, was Rodgers impeding the team, blah, 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 blah. Was it Ted Thompson? And rehash all of the debates of the last approximately decade since this became more controversial.
I do find it interesting. Everybody who's making the case is making the case for coaches, but everybody's voting for quarterbacks.
Does that mean it's tougher to evaluate with the coaches than the quarterbacks? Because it's easier to assess a quarterback based on their play. You can point to good play, not good play, because all the players have to execute the game plan. The game plan could be really, I mean, for all I know, Bill Belichick might have excellent game plans that's not being translated at all by the personnel on his team that he chose. But does that mean he's doing a bad job of coaching right now? Not necessarily. I'm throwing that out there as a hypothetical, not realistic based on what we're seeing this season or even last season.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easier to give immediate credit to a quarterback just because you can point to Patrick Mahomes and crazy throws and stuff like that. We've seen it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ooh, we got a debate on our hands right now. I like it.
That's a good one.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for more. I'm going to wait for more before I make my pick here.
Okay.
But I would say it averages out. If we do the text and tweets, it's pretty close to 50-50. So, but the more vocal part is coaches. We'll say that. People picking coaches are the more vocal ones right now.
I think it's because you have to believe more in all that they can provide. In everything that goes into being a coach versus being a player. There's just more to it. So if you really like a coach, you're going to like a lot of aspects about their job versus a quarterback.
I mean, you can make examples for each side all day, every day on this thing. Like even like the Tom Brady Tampa. Did Tampa win because of Bruce Arians or Tom Brady coming over?
Right.
I mean, they were a good team, but they were a quarterback away, essentially. I mean, Jameis Winston or Tom Brady. We're probably going to go Tom Brady,
Yeah.
at that point. So,
Okay.
And Bruce Arians is a good coach.
Right.
Yeah.
But Brady came and they win a Super Bowl. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That speaks more to the ability of the quarterback to do that. And then we're back to the Belichick Brady. Who's more responsible? How do you divvy it up percentage-wise, et cetera debate once again.
Yeah. So, interesting.
Fascinating one. Yeah. So are you going to reveal this in the next 28 minutes?
Maybe. Oh, C-Bomb's got an awful comparison right now.
All right. What is it?
Awful comparison.
Is this okay?
Oh, that is so bad.
Let's go. What do we got?
Coach. He picked coach. We had the best quarterback ever and got one Super Bowl. Let's get a Josh McDaniels and win it multiple times. Josh McDaniels.
I wish you could see my face when I heard that. You can't, but it was not. It was a look of,
huh?
Like, yeah, my eyes kind of popped open a bit. Like, okay. I mean, Josh McDaniels as offensive coordinator, maybe. That's as far as I'll go. I mean, that's legit in that regard. If you're saying Josh McDaniels Patriots era. Josh McDaniels.
I'm sorry for everybody who made the case for coaches, and then you had C-Bomb in your corner with that comparison.
Wow.
So,
care to elaborate a little bit more?
Yeah. Ooh.
I mean, maybe I could be convinced, I guess, but I mean, unless maybe he is a really big Josh McDaniels fan. I mean, if you are, but back to that point, if you're a big fan of a coach, it doesn't matter whether you're going to think that they can succeed. And maybe he would succeed in Green Bay. I don't know.
No.
What would you think if Josh McDaniels were, and I think his name was bounced around a little bit as a potential Packer coach at one time, maybe, but then he was associated with everyone at some point. If Josh McDaniels suddenly took over from Matt LaFleur, how are you handling the next morning on the show?
Not good.
Okay.
And this is coming from a guy who I did want McDaniels initially before LaFleur. But considering what I've seen now from no, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Nope, I'll pass. Nope. Now you're getting an old debate: does Belichick make his assistants? You know, the whole coaching tree thing, right?
Romeo Crennel, Bill O'Brien was
Bill O'Brien before he went to Penn State, and then Ohio, then Houston. Now he's back. Who went to Notre Dame? Notre Dame head coach.
Oh, yep.
Charlie Weiss.
Charlie Weiss, yes.
Brian Flores for a hot minute.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of thing. So got Jake saying, I'm saying Patrick Mahomes, the talent is generational. He can mold into different coaches' systems and be successful. You can't coach players to do what he does. What do you think about that?
Say that one more time.
He's picking Patrick Mahomes. The talent is generational. He could mold into different coaches' systems and be successful. You can't coach players to do what he does, the intangibles.
Yeah. That's I think that marries with why I like the notion of Mahomes. Like, again, to use the Viking example, and I haven't really Vikings example. I haven't seen enough of Kevin O'Connell, even after a season and a third-ish, to know for sure exactly how, like, what's his full time. I mean, you could find a basic concept, but I think Mahomes would adapt well enough, and I think O'Connell would adapt even more. O'Connell's not stupid. You're like, yeah, sure, we're going to make Mahomes succeed. He's not going to be an ideologue, I guess you could say, as far as a coach goes. I agree with the Mahomes sentiment.
Also saying offensive coordinators can be successful even if they're not great play callers and just have a roster full of talent. Interesting.
There's a lot of there's some intriguing takes on this one.
We'll just say there's a few texters, too, that are asking if C-Bomb is lit in Poland right now.
Ah, good question.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's not that far from beer territory, so there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what he is doing in Poland. Well, let's see. It's about probably, what, 3:30 in the afternoon there, I'm thinking.
I don't know, but
it's afternoon.
Really, of all the coaches you could have picked from, Josh McDaniels? Josh McDaniels. Yuck. Come on.
Who's worse?
I mean, there's probably Adam Gase,
Of current head coaches.
I'd pick McDaniels probably over Frank Reich right now.
That's saying something. I mean, given
Trying to think who Matt Eberflus, which is funny because Josh McDaniels hired Matt Eberflus to be his defensive coordinator at Indy, and then he.
I'm getting the Chrissy Teigen face right now about all of this. This isn't. I might actually take McDaniels below any of them.
Over Eberflus,
as worse. Over. So would I take Eberflus? But you know what I mean. McDaniels is at the bottom.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah. To put it in simple terms, as I could think of, Shanahan makes your offense better than it was. Mahomes makes you the contender.
Nice way of putting it. Can you imagine those two in the same team?
I don't want to.
Oh boy, it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Really. Yeah,
because you're still quarterback, right? You're still Mahomes, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're still with the quarterback,
right?
None of these have swayed your opinions from our very knowledgeable listeners. What?
C-Bomb replied, Mike McDaniel, good Lord, for faceplant emojis. I need to sleep.
Hey, he put it out there twice. He tweeted at me, Josh McDaniels, and then he retweeted Josh McDaniels. So nice cover up. He still went Josh McDaniels.
Now, if
you tweet it twice, that's not an error. That's not an errr. You had two opportunities.
You can edit your tweets now, right?
I think so. Yeah. So
I don't think you have to pay for that yet.
No. Nice try.
Okay, so I will give him the benefit of the doubt just for the sake of argument.
It's not even the same last name.
Right.
It's Josh McDaniels.
Right, that's the thing.
Mike McDaniel.
But okay, so what if he did say, Coach, we had the best QB ever, got one Super Bowl. Let's get a Mike McDaniel and won it multiple times. Yeah, he needs to sleep. He's mixing the past tense and the current tense too. Yeah, dude.
He's just covering up his tracks because he knows he got called out.
Mike McDaniel right now, if he suddenly became head coach of the Green Bay Packers, how are you reacting?
I like Mike McDaniel because of his swag. So
I like Mike McDaniel because of who he is. Like, he's just great.
But
as a coach,
I think that's so early yet.
I like a lot of his scheming so far.
But I also think too that he went into a really good situation too. I mean, you know what I mean? Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, you got speed. It's like Mickey and Rocky too. Speed is what we need. Got to have speed. Greasy, fast speed. They got speed. And he utilizes that, man.
And their defense still kind of sucks.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. Gosh. I would love to
Goes back to that question I asked you. If you could draft right now, you're a brand new team and you draft your coach, who's coming number one? Is it Mike McDaniel?
Or Kyle Shanahan? There's an
or Andy Reid.
I might actually go Shanahan. I think it was more of a track record, and I think something's going to work out with him eventually. There is the definite possibility that Kyle Shanahan is the Marty Schottenheimer.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
Yeah, it's on the table, but there's so much time left to go. I think it resolves itself eventually. Side note, I'd love to see the Browns and Dolphins play each other. Very good defense, terrible offense for the Browns. Very good offense, terrible defense for the Dolphins. How does that match up?
I'd almost like to see a Dolphins 49ers Super Bowl too, just to see those two go at it.
Yes. Of course, also back to the Browns Dolphins one. I mean, when the Dolphins have the ball, would be great to watch. And then I'm going to go run some errands in between.
Well, then you know how it's gonna play out, right? It's gonna be one between whoever's better between the Dolphins defense or the Browns offense. So that's where you have to watch it.
And that's like the bad part of the game. like you'd have it'd be strange. You'd have a half of the game would be excellent and half the game would suck.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen in football. And yet that's probably what would exactly happen there. Yeah, okay, you better have a take coming up in 19 minutes.
Let me just ask one more scenario here. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Put Andy Reid or Kyle Shanahan, whoever you think is a top coach right now, with when Aaron was with Green Bay. Multiple Super Bowls? Yes or no?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay. Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan, whoever, and Kirk Cousins, general quarterback, Jordan, whatever. Multiple Super Bowls?
No.
Okay.
I think it's possible with Kirk Cousins. Or right now, it's incomplete with Jordan
A Super Bowl?
Maybe. Again, with Love, I know that the arrow is trending down right now, but gosh, it's still even years into his official NFL career. It's still early as a starter. With Cousins, I think you can get one.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if we're talking about today's Andy Reid. If you're talking 2012 Andy Reid,
Eagles version.
Yeah, I don't know, because he was with Pete Donovan McNabb, and that didn't quite work out.
Pete Donovan McNabb.
Oh,
That's a trip.
It's true. We forget Donovan McNabb was really good for a time. Talk about a quarterback that kind of got memory hold.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really think about it. He was a Vikings quarterback for a while. I forgot about it. He was
Christian Ponder replaced him for crying out loud.
He was on the cover of the Vikings yearbook.
Mm.
My gosh.
Replaced the great Brett Favre.
Yeah, he did. Legit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was so.
Hey, we got a Craig Council update-ish. How about that?
Is this the John Hyman one?
Yes.
Okay. Tell when it's time to tell.
We will. We'll take a quick break. Last call for any arguments to be made on either side of the aisle. All right? Quarterback or coach? Last call. Maybe I'll tell you my pick. I probably will.
You're listening to the Dan Kasper Show.
Shoppers, listen up. Are you ready to save big on all your grocery needs? Why wouldn't you? Well, then head on down to Hy-Vee in Eau Claire, where the deals are sizzling hot. Hy-Vee has the fresh produce, top quality meats, pantry staples, and all your favorite brands under one roof. And don't forget about their amazing in-store bakery and deli. Need a quick bite to eat? Hy-Vee in Eau Claire has many different options to choose from at their food court as well. So go ahead and visit Hy-Vee in Eau Claire, your one-stop shop for savings, quality, and convenience. Are aches and pains keeping you from enjoying life to the fullest? Look no further than Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Their expert team of dedicated professionals are there to help you get back in the game. Whether you are a weekend warrior or a seasoned athlete, they offer personalized care and cutting-edge treatments to get you back on your feet. Say goodbye to discomfort and hello to a life of motion. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Your journey to recovery starts there. Visit them today or check them out online at cvosm.com. The reviews are in. It's the best thing I have ever tasted in my life. This is the best thing that's happened in my life, even better than my wedding. That's what everyone has to say about Man Cave Light, the official beer of the Dan Kasper Show and the Man Cave Podcast. Try it for yourself and you'll know exactly why people say it's like sipping a little bit of heaven. Man Cave Light is available on tap at the bar in Hy-Vee. You can also grab a crawler or 6 and take some Man Cave Light home with you. So go try your new favorite beer, Man Cave Light, today, and you will know exactly why one reviewer said, I cry tears of joy every time I have one.
You collect data about your operation every day. Sometimes it answers questions, but sometimes it leads to more questions. Can you farm more efficiently, more profitably, and how? Work with a banker who understands your operation and helps you find the answers to the tough questions. Work with Bremer Bank, because understanding is everything. Put us to work for you today at bremer.com.
What makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination? Because they offer free battery testing and charging and reliable replacement batteries, and they've always got your battery solution. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
As a roofer, I've got a million things to do, and that's a million things that need to be done right. That's why I partner with Beacon. The team at Beacon makes sure my materials are delivered accurately and on time. And the Beacon Pro Plus app makes ordering the brands I depend on, like CertainTeed Landmark Pro, easier than ever. I rely on Beacon because I never stop building, and neither do they. Now through November, purchase CertainTeed through Beacon Pro Plus and earn up to $750. Beacon, always building.
There aren't many people as sports smart as he is, so he tries to use tiny words so people like me can easily follow along.
That doesn't make sense.
The Dan Kasper Show.
I want to ask one more question before I make my decision here. Okay. So everybody who's picking coach and kind of using that as like, well, if Aaron Rodgers would have had a different coach, he'd have multiple Super Bowls. But if you're picking coach, doesn't that also say McCarthy gets the credit for winning Super Bowl 45?
Yeah, it kind of does.
You know what I mean? Is that fair to assume then?
Mm-hmm.
That you got to give credit to McCarthy then? If you're picking coach?
Yeah.
Just asking.
He coached well that year.
Just asking.
It's true. It's not like he was.
Facts are facts.
Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
All right.
That is highly successful. You won a Super Bowl.
Okay. Before that, though, let's John Hyman, New York Post. I'll just read a little bit here in case nobody's seen this from late last night. Folks around the game are starting to think the Mets have a reasonable chance to sign star managerial free agent Craig Counsell away from his hometown Brewers since he deferred extension talks in the spring, and there's no sign of progress yet. Even so, someone connected to the Brewers said he believes Counsell will stay if he's paid what he believes is fair. One NL executive opinioned if he was going to stay, they'd have already signed him, but others aren't so sure. Counsell is believed to be the only one of 30 managers who lives year-round in the city that he manages. Depending on who you talk to, Counsell and the Brewers are either not seriously talking yet or not quite progressing, but it's still early and the Mets can't talk to him until November. So, nothing. Nothing new at this point.
Saw what another rival executive says the Brewers' arrow is pointing down a little bit with regard to
the division getting better and Cubs and
competition. I think the biggest takeaway, like if I'm a Brewers fan, I'm not like demonstrably more worried based on this. This probably comes as close as I've seen to an official Mets want Counsell. That's been speculated so much, but that's because of putting two and two together of David Stearns, and they have an opening, and Counsell's a free agent. But there's been nothing that seems to indicate anything else that the Mets actually do want, at least not in the story that I've seen. This is a story that essentially says that. But it a lot of the, as Hyman, I think Hyman lays out both of the sides, the ones that think Counsell are going, and the solid reasons why he would stay. Point out like rival executives. This GM says it. It makes a point of saying that. So this isn't like very broad sourcing that makes you think, ooh, this is right. No, it's what other GMs think, and other GMs could be wrong. I mean, what I was listening to referencing again the Over Unders podcast from Bill Simmons on the NBA, and one GM they referenced the one GM from the GM survey that thinks the Clippers are going to win the West. Okay, cool. These are not the oracles of opinion. They're smart people, obviously. You don't become a general manager by not knowing your stuff and not knowing the overall scenario, because you got to know the other teams, who's with another team, who do you deal with, et cetera, et cetera. But they may be wrong. They're opinionating on this. And others are saying, I'm curious, who is close to the team that essentially called out the Brewers and said, hey, pay? Who was that? Is again, knowing what we know of how reporters use background material, deep background material, that sort of stuff. Those are two different levels of background for those that don't know. Saying someone connected to the Brewers said he believes Counsell will stay if he's paid what he believes is fair. Who is that?
You'll never know.
I know we won't. But who is that Craig Counsell? Because he's connected to the Brewers. Is that
his wife?
Could be.
Yeah.
Is that Christian Yelich?
His agent?
Is it Bob Uecker? I mean, like anyone. It's Brian Anderson, Jeff Levering. Any of the numerous people in the front office? I don't know. I would think, of course, if John Hyman is quoting somebody for a New York Post article, it's someone of significance. If we found out the name, you'd be like, oh, okay. But I do find that interesting that someone with the team basically is telling the team in a high-profile article, you better pay. Yeah. That's directly to Mark Atanasio, because that's if I could rule anyone out, the one person I think we could rule out is Mark Atanasio being that someone connected to the Brewers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree.
Unless Atanasio thinks he's going to pay what he thinks is fair, and is a knock on Counsell to say, well, that's Counsell thinks it's fair, but it's not. No, it's not that. They need to pay. I'm going to do the dreaded conflating two things that really don't make a difference right now. But right now we're voting on spending public money for the Brewers and helping them out so they can stick around American Family Field, and then they don't have enough money to spend on one of the best managers in the game and let them go. It would not be a good look right now.
On the list there, they do mention Pat Murphy as a potential candidate for the Mets job too. I was kind of wondering, one name that's not on there, it was actually named Brandon had mentioned a couple weeks ago as a potential replacement for Counsell. And he's actually getting an interview with the Giants as Stephen Vogt. Because as Brandon mentioned, it's in our podcast for a couple weeks ago, that he's been getting rave reviews because he's was with the Mariners this year.
Yeah.
Kind of helping out with the coaching staff and such.
Intriguing.
So yeah, was a fan favorite when he was with the Brewers for a short time.
Right.
So
we'll intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's do a temperature check right now. What do you think happens
with Counsell? I think he's back.
Okay.
I still think he's back. I'm about 52%.
I am intrigued that now it's out in the open. It's with again sourcing, and that's not deriding it, but I'm saying it's sourcing as opposed to an actual statement.
You mean it's not an accumulation of information?
Nice. And the irony is, we're talking about John Hyman here, who blatantly look. He screwed up one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he gets a lot of stuff right too. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on this.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the difference. We're really going all in on, okay, the Mets want him. We know now the Mets want him, which means David Stearns. Now here's where I'm making some assumptions. David Stearns really wants him. Stephen Cohen just wants a really good manager, and I'm sure he's going, well, yeah, Counsell's really good, so I want Counsell. That makes sense. Even if he didn't have Stearns, he'd probably want Counsell. So there's definite interest over there, but how much could Mark Atanasio pay? I hope he pays. Because I think the other logic would be enough to keep Counsell there.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we're overrating how much he wants to stay home. Again, it's the homer thing of you want to be around here. But I think there's a lot to that if the money's there and the environment is there, and especially if he gets a little bit more say in personnel and such, why go to the Mets? The Mets, it's not exactly like they won 20 titles and are going through a little drought right now. Now, that would be the Yankees, actually.
Yeah.
This is the Mets. They've won 2 titles, and the last one was 1986. It's been a long time.
I think I'm ready to make my pick.
All right. Who is it?
And I will tell you, this has been a constant internal struggle within me ever since we posed this question. Okay. I've gone back and forth. I was looking for some solid cases to be made one way or the other with this thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just say this first. I am a firm believer that it takes more times than not. Yes, you have your outliers. More times than not, the quarterback head coach relationship to win Super Bowls, to win multiple Super Bowls. I believe that. I firmly believe that you need that relationship. I mean, there's too many examples not to. Starr and Lombardi, Montana and Walsh. Belichick and Brady, right? There's Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. To win multiple, you need that combo. Yes, you can win it with outliers. Quarterback can lead you, maybe the coach once in a while. All that's being said, if I had to pick right now, Lucas, and
For this current Green Bay Packers,
it's very small. It's just slightly, and I could probably be convinced tomorrow if there's other arguments either way. But right now, I'm going quarterback.
Okay.
I'm going quarterback.
Patrick Mahomes with Matt LaFleur.
And I think Kyle Shanahan, if I had to pick, Kyle Shanahan's top 2 for me right now as a coach in the league. And while I understand some arguments about you could plug in any quarterback and his system works, facts are facts. And he's in his 7th year. If we don't count this year, he has had 3 winning seasons out of 6. Double-digit wins, 3 winning, and he's had multiple different quarterbacks. Nick Mullins, C.J. Beathard. I'm not saying they're great quarterbacks or great examples, but if we're going to use the argument that his system works for anybody, it didn't for C.J. Beathard. It didn't for Nick Mullins. It didn't for Brian Hoyer.
He's also had a lot of injuries, too.
Exactly.
I mean, if there is a team, I think the 49ers are the ultimate injury team. When they had all those injuries in Cleveland, it was like, oh my gosh, it's really happening to this team again. So that he does have a little bit of a rationalization to that.
Mm-hmm.
But where's the Super Bowl title?
Yes.
It came close against the Chiefs. Really close. Probably should have won that game, actually.
And then Andy Reid win any of his 2 Super Bowls if Alex Smith is his quarterback still. I don't think he does.
Probably not. Probably not. I don't think so.
By the slightest of margins,
you're going that way.
By the slightest of my little 5 o'clock shadow beard, I'll go quarterback.
Okay.
But that's where I'm at. I could easily change it tomorrow. But
right.
that's where I'm at. I'm at a quarterback, and I thought I was going to go coach. I'll be honest with you. I thought I was going to go coach. I thought I was going to go coach right away. But I ended up going quarterback.
Well, Mahomes is Mahomes. It's like we've seen the track record. It's there.
And see, here's an example though too. Like Favre doesn't win a Super Bowl without Mike Holmgren. Mm-hmm. I believe that. Yeah. I don't think they win the Super Bowl because of Favre. Favre had a great year for MVP, but Mike Holmgren was the reason Favre was Favre.
Yes, I do very much agree on that one.
So there's examples both ways.
It can, but right now, given who they got, yes.
Yeah.
That.
Oh, the internal debate will ravage on. I won't sleep tonight now.
It'll be different by the time the podcast comes.
Probably.
Great.
Now
download it.
Yep. All right. Have a good day, everybody. DP and the Danettes are up next. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
You're listening to the Dan Patrick Show on WAYY Eau Claire, W286CK Eau Claire, Sports Talk 105.1.